Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to some Umineko. We've just stumbled on the body of our cousin. As you can tell, her name is Jessica, and she just got stabbed in the back. She's definitely gone, and we got the ritual dagger in her back to prove it. Rest in peace, Jessica. Jess on a stick. Yeah, not quite how we were expecting to find her, but I mean, when 6 people die, and you're like, I need some time alone, and people are like, isn't that super risky? Kinda know it's coming. You kinda know it's coming. That said, where's Kanon? Where'd they move Kanon's body to? Because in the scene we saw her get attacked, Kanon was with her. So let's see what happened to Kanon. Did he disintegrate, or is he still alive? Yeah, how horrible. You can say that again. It's very, very unfortunate that you've had what, 7 people die now? Rosa is of course Battler's aunt, and yeah, her all of her siblings are dead. Both her sister and both her brothers and their relative spouses are the dead ones right now, and now our niece is dead. Dr. Nanjo? Ooh, I think it might be a bit late. Those vacant dead eyes. Inside the room, which seemed elegant for the bedroom of one so young, Jessica lay crumpled on the ground. There was a large pool of blood on the floor, and there was a knife or something sticking deep into her back. Was it a knife? There was a design on the handle that just had to symbolize something demonic. It had to be a weapon with some kind of occult meaning. Horrible. Well, at least they have a doctor, right? Now, that would be great if people weren't actually just dying before you reach them, but in theory, if you're just injured, maybe the doctor can help. They're kind of trapped on an island with no access to proper medical facilities, but at least they have a trained physician, even if he's a little bit aged. It's horrible she's passed away. Yeah, we figured as much. This probably reached her lungs. Not much time has passed since she died. They just got back from investigating the other bodies. So it's been like less than a day since anyone else died, and she's already gone. Yeah, rest in peace, Jessica. Damn. It's gotta be rough. That's gotta be rough, damn it. Damn it. Yeah, I'm with you. Battler-sama? I was naive. You were a little naive. I knew it. Does the culprit can't escape the island? They're definitely close by. Why didn't you get cautious? You were distracted by the stress of losing your dad and stepmom. And in quite a more brutal fashion than this. I mean, this is pretty rough. She got stabbed, but I mean, you weren't eviscerated and didn't have your stomach filled with candy with a message, Happy Halloween, written to you in a chapel. That was a bit more extreme than just the casual stab in the back with a knife. You're naive. Yeah, it's okay. Most people don't have to deal with murderers on their private island. It's pretty uncommon. How many people have to deal with serial killers in the first place? Probably not that many. I mean, police officers. The person who gets... the very rare person who gets actually murdered or attacked by a serial killer, and the serial killer themselves. Pretty uncommon, honestly. You assumed a culprit would just commit their crime and sneak away and hide. There's nowhere to go. You're on an island in a typhoon. We were stunned then. Yeah, it's perfectly understandable. You're probably in shock, and you only had what, like an hour? An hour to process. We thought Jessica giving into rage and running off was something that couldn't be helped. It is what it is, George. It is what it is. We should have stopped her. At least your girlfriend slash housemaid is still alive. Think of the upside. Yoda, why did you leave those two alone? If you'd been with them, something like this. No, it's I said it was dangerous to return. Yoda is always trying to look good in front of other people. Milady said she wanted to be alone. Kanon told me to leave it him and speaking of which, where is Kanon-san? Yeah, where is Kanon? His body should be around here. That's right. Now, we did see it looked like they were dragging his body elsewhere, so they might find it in another room. But yeah, he's gone. He's probably dead too. What in the world happened to Kanon-kun? Where's Kanon? Kanon-san should have been with Milady. Where did he go? I don't think they got him. Quiet. Someone might be hiding in the room. Ooh, she's the first person to think that someone might be hiding in the room almost immediately. That's a good call. Last time they had a theory that one of the times they looked for someone and couldn't find them, they were hiding in the room, but they never bothered to check early enough. So this is a good thought, Rosa. Check under the bed, etc. Search the bed and the closet. Yeah, search under the bed, the closet. Okay. There's a chance Kanon's corpse had been pushed away somewhere. At Rosa's order, everyone searched through the room together, but there wasn't a single human hiding anywhere. Alright, he's not in this room. He's nowhere. Could the culprit have taken him out of the room? I mean, look at the blood splatters. Are there like splatters of blood from him as well? Or does it look like she was just stabbed while she's alone? It's probably hard to tell because you're not an expert, but I mean, maybe try to make a guess as to whether or not Jessica was just stabbed in the back, fell on the ground, and died by herself or not. We'll have to search for him quickly and save him. If the culprit took him somewhere, he's probably dead. If we're slow, something awful might happen. I mean, at best, you might catch the culprit while they're making some grotesque display. Rosa, let's search the mansion. We need to be together, though, Battler. You shouldn't be splitting up like this. Let's search for the culprit. We'll save Kanon-kun. Good luck, dude. Rosa's probably thinking, like, this is a bad idea. Battler wants to split up so everyone can get separate off into pairs and get murdered. Quiet. Thank you. Thank you. When Aunt Rosa yelled at us, we fell instantly silent. She was probably contemplating something. However, what in the world could that be? Aunt Rosa walked around the room and, as though looking for something, or as though she was collecting her thoughts. What's the plan, Rosa? You're sort of de facto leader since you're like the only adult who's not a servant. Then she found something on the side table by the bed and picked it up. If anyone knows, tell me. What key is this? Aunt Rosa showed everyone a key with a cute mascot attached to it. Judging from its cute appearance, I doubt it was Jessica's key, but I had no way of knowing for sure. It's probably the key to this room, to Milady's room. And after hearing that, Rosa made a point of going outside the door and checking. Without a doubt, it was the key to this room. I wonder why it was set in a place like this. Would you normally keep a key like this in your pocket? The lady wasn't in the habit of locking her room? Okay, it seems she only does it when she goes to school. I mean, I don't lock my room that often. She didn't want someone like Kraus-sama looking inside her room. Alright. I see. He wasn't at school, it's natural she would set the key down here. Okay. How many keys open this? All the servants' keys, probably? Just the one Milady had. Can't it be opened with your master keys? Yeah, surely. They open it. How How many master
使
keys
用
are
人
there?
の人は全員持ってるの。
Are all the servants holding them?
余剰分はある。
Are there extras?
はい。私たちは全員が持ってい
Everyone
ます。
has one.
余剰分は
As for
どうでしょう。
extras? Ooh, I don't know.
以前は何本かありましたが、奥様に不用心だと強くお叱りを受
There
けま
used
し
to
て、
be several, but Madam
対
scolded
応が
us
取られた
harshly.
はずです。
Okay. She said it was careless, so they should have been dealt with, so they shouldn't exist, but they might exist?
そうです。
That's correct, thanks, Genji.
私たち使用人が
There's
一本
only
ずつ
one.
持つのみです。
Held by each servant. So I guess she's coming to the conclusion that maybe Kanon was killed and then Jessica was killed by someone using Kanon's keys to open her room door? That's probably the route of Rosa's going down.
それ以外は存在しません。
There's no more. I mean, Kanon's disappeared.
Huh?
It's an interesting thought, right? Kanon's disappeared. If his body was here, you would suspect he was killed in the room, while they were just talking, but his body's missing. And so were his keys.
ちょいと待て。
Wait,
確か前回のゲームじゃ
we
マ
talked
スター
about
キー
extra
には
master
余
keys
剰
in
分
the
があるっ
last
て
game, right?
話じゃなか
Yes.
ったのか。
Indeed.
それについてだがな。
Regarding that.
所在不明のマスターキーが何本もあっては、わらわにあまりに不利であることに気づいたのだ。
Oh, regarding that, I've noticed having several master keys whose locations are unknown is quite disadvantageous to me. It is, Beatrice. If you claim to be a magician, of course, it's a little bit hard to prove that you used magic to open the doors or get in the rooms if there are master keys whose locations are missing.
そりゃそうだろうよ。
Yeah, it's probably
見
right.
捨て俺に魔法を信じさせたいお前にとっちゃ。想定外のマスターキーは非常に不利だろうよ。
Since you want to make me believe in magic using closed rooms, it'd really hurt if there were more master keys than we thought.
何しろ俺は
Yep.
正
her
常に
argument
関
was
するトリッ
already
クが登
sketchy
場
for
する
locks.
たびに
After all, every time a trick involving locks
過去に
shows up,
紛失したマスターキーやその複製を犯人が所持していてって論法で対抗していくつもりだったからよ。
by arguing the culprit had a master key someone lost in the past or a duplicate.
そうよ、その通り。
Yeah, it doesn't look good. That said, you can, of course, break the lock through the door, right?
だから、そこを崩す一手を打たせてもら
You
うこと
decided to
に
make
し
a move to
た。
defeat that. Now, she did. Her first murder was designed to defeat the idea of the master key, as there was only one key and the master key to the room, and the master key didn't unlock it. But he refused to surrender at that one, so the presence or absence of master keys isn't super relevant, because he'll still make the same bullshit claim. He'll still make the same claims. And you won't get anywhere, right?
設定を変更する。
I'll update her setting.
マスターキーは使用人たちがそれぞれ持つ一本のみ。
Absolute truth. Take it exactly as it's written, and anything that is left out is, of course, open to interpretation. The only master keys are the ones held by the servants. Okay, so the only master keys are keys held by the servants, one key each. This is a denial of the existence of additional master keys, specifically. He's saying that there isn't an extra master key, not that they couldn't be stolen. Okay. That's my analysis of that red text. It's a pretty straightforward line, but you need to keep that in mind. She's saying there aren't extra master keys.
ふざけやがって。
According to the rules of at least this chapter, supposedly the red text is absolute truth. We'll see how long that lasts until maybe she'll start lying in red text. We'll see.
それより
Messing with me? More importantly.
こりゃどういう手なんだ。
What kind of move is this? It's a weird one. Yeah, either a servant killed her or Kanon got killed and his key was yoinked, or magic, right? There's still some possibilities. Like, I'm surprised she moved Kanon's body because it makes it really obvious. It makes it obvious that, like, or makes it not obvious, but like, it makes the obvious conclusion what would jump to being the Kanon was killed, his keys taken, and that used to open the door. Like Satan killing Philly, yeah. It's a weird choice on Beatrice's part if she's trying to prove that magic exists by hiding the body that would prove that they died around the same time or that they died in the same room.
ローザおばさんは何を言っているんだ。
What's Rosa talking about?
さあな。
Who knows? She's suspecting other people
話に耳を傾けてみるがよ
to
か
try
ろう。
listening in. True.
ありがとう。
Thank you.
状況が整理できたわ。
I have the situation sorted out.
そしてジェシカちゃんを襲った犯人、あるいはその一味の一人を
And I've
特
been
定
able
で
to
きたわ。
pinpoint the culprit who assaulted Jessica, or at least one of their accomplices. Okay.
なんだって
What?
それは誰だよ
Who is it?
まさか
Aunt Rosie, you don't
Rosa
mean
おばさん
Kanon,
は
do you?
カノン君のことを言ってるんじゃないでしょうね。
カノン君がどうしてですか？
Kanon's gone. He was supposed to be here. And he had a master key. That's pretty suspicious.
この部屋は施錠されていた
The
わ。
room's locked.
そ
Yep.
してこの部屋に施錠できる鍵は
The only
使
keys
用
that
人の
unlock
み
it
ん
are
なが持
master
ってい
keys
る
held
マ
by
スタ
each
ーキー
servant.
と
And the
ジェ
key
シカちゃ
Jessica
んが持
has.
っているこの鍵しかない。でもジェシカちゃんの鍵はここに
Jessica's
閉じ
key
込め
was
られてい
closed
た。
up in here. Yep.
ということは
Which means it's
施
possible
錠で
only
き
one
た
of
の
the
は
keys.
マスターキーしかありえないの。
Only possible one of the master keys locked this room up because the room was locked when they tried to get in, and they needed to request the use of the master keys. Okay. I understand this, and I'm on board with it. That makes sense. Based on her rationale, only someone with a master key can get in the room because the room was at least locked after she died. And no one's in the room, so... Therefore, she was killed. Since she was stabbed to death, obviously the knife can't go through the keyhole. So, for obvious reasons, we're saying that one of the master keys was used to lock up after she died, which means one of these suspicious people with the keys has it. Can she then say that she saw several people with her? I think that's what she's going to say. She's going to be like, a bunch of these people are innocent because they were with us. However, these people were absent and thus are suspicious.
おっしゃる通りです。
As you say.
となれば誰かがジェシカちゃんを殺し、そして施錠したことになる。
In that case, someone killed Jessica and locked the door. Yep, that follows.
その
Rosa.
人物はマスターキーを持っていた
And。that person would have had to have had a master key unless they somehow got out the window from, I don't know, 3 stories up. Teardrop.
そしてマスターキーを持って
The
いた
windows were
人物
closed,
は5人
presumably,
しか
because they would have noted that the windows were open. And these windows are probably locked by default. In that case, someone killed Jessica and locked the door. That person had a master key, and there's only 5 people with master keys.
そんな
Yes. Yes, Shio, that's what it looks
私
like.
ではありませんよ、私では。
It wasn't me, not me. Yes, that's what someone who is guilty would say, and also what someone who's innocent would say.
そんなことできません。
You could never do such a thing? Alright.
熊沢さんは朝が遅かった。
Kumasawa got up
私たち
late.
が礼拝堂から客間に戻ってきて、そこで会ったわけだけど、
After we returned from the chapel to the parlor, we met you
それま
there.
での間、あなたがどこで何をしていたか
It's
は証明
impossible to
不能。
prove where you were and what you were doing until that time.
物陰から私たちを伺っていて、孤立したジェシカちゃんたちの後を追い、こっそり襲いかかった。
You watched us in the shadow, chased after Jessica and Kanon while they were isolated, and stealthily attacked them. Why assume Kanon's innocence? I know he's innocent, but why assume his innocence?
私がお嬢様のところを訪れて、
Are you saying I visited Milady's room? I don't think there's enough to convict Shio, even under circumstantial evidence. Since Goda also should have been watching the room and was isolated with her and Kanon, and basically escaped because he's fortunate and wasn't there. So Goda is also sus. I don't think you can just say that she's guilty.
こんなむごいことをしたとおっしゃるのですか。
I visited Milady's room and did something so horrible.
あんまりにございます。
He says she didn't do it.
あんまりですともう。
ゴーダ
I
さんだ
don't
って
think
どう
Rose
で
is
す？
gonna shoot him. What about you, Goda? I think Goda's already made his excuse, but he'll probably repeat
あ
it.
なたはカノン君にジェシカちゃんを任せて帰ってきたと言ったわ。
He said he left Jessica Chan in Kanon-kun's care and returned.
でも本当なのか
Is
しら？
that true? Maybe.
本当は2人を殺してカノン君の死体を隠して、
Maybe you killed the two of them, hid Kanon's corpse,
それで何食わぬ顔で戻ってきたん
and
じゃな
came
いのか
back with
し
an
ら？
innocent look on your face. It's possible, but it's really suspicious.
そんなことはありません。
Nothing of the sort
この
happened.
ゴーダ、誓ってそのようなことはいたしません。
I go to swear I did not do anything like that. Yeah, okay.
私たちでもありません。
Wasn't us. I think he's gonna say the other people were
私
pretty
たちは
clear.
親方様のご命令で。
We followed the master's orders and
ええ、あなたと源氏さんについてだけは大丈夫。
you and Genji alone are clean.
お父様から聞いた話で、それは裏付けられて
It's backed up by what I heard from father.
二人はお父様の部屋でずっと筆行と立ち会いをしていた。
You were in father's room the whole time, transcribing and witnessing for
お
him.
父様と私が保証するわ。
Father and I can guarantee that. Alright, so they're safe.
ありがとうございます。
Thank you very much.
こうなれば、郷田さんと熊沢さんのどちらかが怪しいという論
Now
法
can
になる
become
と思
who
う。
is more suspicious, Goda or
私も
Kumasawa-san?
この部屋に入った最初はそう思った。
I thought that myself right after entering this room. Okay, good thinking. You're like, I know where two of the servants were, and someone had to have used the master key for this. Therefore, it's one of these two people who likely has the key. I mean, you could assume some elaborate heist where someone steals the keys and gives them back before they notice, but is that more likely, or is them being a killer more
で
likely?
もね、おかしいと思ったの。
Still, you found it
ジェシ
strange.
カちゃんの遺体の様子を見て、
Look at the state of
みん
Jessica's
なは
body.
おかしいと思わない？
Does everyone think it's strange?
おかしいと言われますと。
ジェシカちゃんは背中を刺されてる
He was struck in the back.
の。よく一般的に言うでしょ。
They say it all the time,
背
right?
中を刺された事件は顔見知りが犯人の可能性が高いって。
They say it all the time. In the crimes where the victim is struck in the back, there's a high chance the culprit was someone whose face was known to the victim. Yeah, so there's no way she wouldn't have turned and looked at who was attacking her, right? Based purely because she's in a room with her door closed. And she's on the ground. Yeah, that seems like an okay train of thought. I don't think I have a problem with that, Rosa. I mean, if there were other injuries on her, I'd maybe say she got attacked and then the knife just happened to hit her back. But, you know, based on the fact she was like backstabbed, there's no signs of resistance, she's just dead, that is
部屋
suspicious.
に気を許せないような人を招き入れて背中を無防備にさらしたりなんか絶対にしない。
She wouldn't invite a person she didn't trust into her room and defenselessly expose her back.
まさかローザ様は
Somebody, you don't
それをカノン君だとおっしゃるんです
say
か？
that was Canon. There's a possibility if we don't find Canon that he's guilty,
ええ、
based on her evidence, based on her circumstantial evidence, yeah.
私たちは殺される直前のジェシカちゃんの様子をよく知ってる。
We're aware of the state Jessica was in right before she was killed.
両親の無残な遺体を見てジェシカちゃんはかなりパニックを起こしてた。
Yep. Okay. After seeing her tragic bodies, Jessica was very
そし
panicked.
てその後に冷静を取り戻しひどく落ち込んだだろうことは容
It's
易に
easy
想
to
像が
imagine.
つく。
After she regains her composure, she's in a horrible slump.
そんなジェシカちゃんが一人で部屋に閉じこもったとい
It's
うシーン。
understandable. Her frame of mind led her to shut herself up alone in her room.
そして
Yep.
この辺りの経緯はゴーダ
That
さんの
matches
話
up
と
with
一致
Goda's
する。
story. Yep.
一人にしてくれと言ったジェシカちゃん。
Jessica said to leave her
So
alone. Then
年も
Canon, who's
近
of
く
similar age,
思春期の関係もあったかもしれないカノン君が自分に任せてほしいと
he's
言っ
of
た気
similar
持ち
age and may have had some adolescent relationship with her. He said to leave this matter in his
本当
hands.
によくわかるの。
It's an understandable feeling, and it's an understandable line to say.
そしてだからこそカノン君をジェシ
And
カ
then
ちゃ
for
ん
that
の部屋
reason,
に迎え
Jessica
入れたと
welcomes
思う。
Canon Kun into her room.
でも郷田さんや熊沢さんだったらどう
What
か
if
し
it
ら。
had been Goda or Kumasawa?
部屋に入れてもらえ
Would
た
she
か
have
し
let them
ら。
into her room?
私はお嬢様に信頼を得ていたと信じています。
Believe I've gained Milady's trust.
ではありますが、その
Even so,
なら郷田さんもやはり容疑者に
guess
来
you're
たの
still
ね
a suspect after all, Goda, if you think you
郷田さんは多分ジェシカちゃんには好かれてないと思ってたからナーバスなジェシカちゃんは部屋に入れなかったと思
I
う。
assume Jessica probably didn't like you that much, so I didn't think she'd let you into her room.
だから犯人ではありえないって思ったんだけど
This guy's accidentally spoke out of turn, trying to impress her by being like, I've earned the trust of everyone in the family, and he's like, oh fuck, wait, this is backfiring. This is backfiring so hard. Yeah, I was convinced you couldn't be the culprit, but maybe I'm mistaken.
いえ、その残念ながらお嬢様にはお認めいただけていなかったかもしれません。
I'm sad to say I may not have been accepted by my lady.
熊沢さんはどうですか？
What about you, Kumasawa? I mean, you obviously, regardless of circumstance, you're probably gonna say that you're not You weren't invited in, right?
私どもね長組は年が離れすぎていて、お嬢様のような若い方の気持ちは
roundabout defense. We're too far.
汲み取れません。
We're too far apart, separated by age, to understand the feelings of a young person like my lady.
お嬢様も私たちに心は開かなかったでしょうとも。
The same reason perhaps my lady never opened her heart up to us.
ねえ、ゴーダさん。
Right, Goda? Goda? Just say yes,
そう
Goda.
です。
That's right. We're great servants. We're just not on great terms with Jessica, who's
私た
dead
ちで
now.
はとても心を開かなかったでしょう。
It would have been hard for her to open her heart to the
長
likes
身
of
の
us.
お嬢様が私たちを部屋に入れてくれたわけなどありません。
Oh, he's still going. And inconceivable for her to let us into her room when she was grieving. Goda and Kumasawa-chan each rubbed their hands together, affirming each other with forced smiles on their faces. They're like, yeah, we're not guilty, we're not guilty, we're not guilty. Exactly what guilty people would say. It was truly an unpleasant rondo.
昇進のジェシカちゃんが部屋に入ることを
So
許した
someone,
人
it was a
物。
person who might be allowed to enter Jessica's room while she's
無防
grieving.
備な背中を許した人物。
Someone who might have been given access to her defenseless bed. Defenseless
そして
prayers, anyone?
その人物はマスターキーを持っている。
And someone who had a
それ
master
らが
key.
示すのは一人。
One
カノ
suspect.
ン君しかありえないのよ。
No one but Kanon-kun.
待ってください。カノン君は決してそんなことは。
Kanon-kun definitely wouldn't do something like this. Are you sure, Shannon?
あら、
We saw the
じゃあ
scene.
他に誰が？
We know he's probably dead, but oh, is there
や
someone?
っぱり幸田さんか熊沢さんが怪しいの。
Is Goda or Kumasawa suspicious after all?
シャノンちゃんはどっちが疑わ
Who's
しいと
more
思う？
suspicious, Shannon? Come on.
ね
私は
Never-
そんな。
私ではありませんよ、シャノさ
Wasn't
ん。
me, Shannon.
ええ、私ではありませんとも。
もちろん私で
Wasn't
もありませ
me
ん。
either. You gonna accuse
お嬢
Genji?
様と仲が良かったのはカノンさんとあとシャノンさんじゃありませんか。
The ones who had close relationships with Milady are Kanon, and after him, you, right?
え。ああ、そうだったわね。シャノンちゃんならジェシカちゃんも部屋に入れてくれるかもしれない。
Jessica might also let Shannon into her room.
でも、あなたはお父様
You
のと
saw
ころ
him
にいた
killing
はず。
Jess and Ben. Thus. Jessica might also let Shannon into her room. You're supposedly with
でも
father,
実は
but in
あな
reality,
たが犯人なの。
could you be the culprit?
シャノンが犯人のわけはない。
Shannon could be
お
the
じい様
culprit.
のところで大切な用事をしていたとさっき言ったは
Didn't
ず。
you just say she was doing some work with grandfather?
ええ、わかってる。
I know.
シャノンちゃんとゲンジさんは犯人じゃ
Neither Shannon nor Genji are the
ない。ずっ
culprit.
と一緒にいたって。
Father
お父さん
confirmed they were together the whole time.
さて、みんなはどう考えるか
What do
し
you
ら。
think, everyone? After being told that, no one could respond. Even if someone managed to argue back, they'd have to offer the name of a different suspect. And no matter who that suspect was, it would have to be someone right here. No one could do something like that. Rosa glanced at everyone in turn, fingering the gun like it was a toy. She seemed so different from the kind Aunt Rosa I knew. Probably because I'm not fully aware of the danger we're in. Maybe Aunt Rosa's attitude would seem natural if I could truly sense the peril surrounding us.
意見はないよね。
Looks like no one has an
じゃあ
opinion.
私の意見を言うわ。
I'll give you mine.
カノン君が死体なき犠牲者である可能性はもちろん否定できない。
I can't deny Kanon-kun's a victim without a
Yeah.
corpse.
死体が見つからない限り、カノン君が容疑者である可能性も
But
全く否定
until
で
we
きない。
find that corpse, I can't rule him out as a
ひょっ
suspect.
とすると、カノン
There's a
君
chance
は
he'll
犯
suddenly
人を
appear
押すと
again,
いうような口実で、ひょっこりと現れるかもしれない。
claiming to have been attacked by the culprit and confined somewhere.
でも用心して、
Take
多
care.
分おそらく。いや、
Most likely there's no
確
doubt
実
about
ね
it. Yes, this does remind me something of everyone's favorite party game.
カノン君がジェシカちゃん
Featuring
を殺した。
cute dudes in space costumes, throwing people out airlocks who are very suspicious. Most likely, there's no doubt about it, Kanon-kun killed Jessica.
ば
Oh, wait.
バカ。
I can't-
私には信じられません。
Didn't we meme that like a 20th, 21st, 22nd person could exist? Look at Beatrice's summons. Yeah.
カノン君は
Her knives and summons could be extra people. The 20th, 21st, and 22nd might have we've already seen them, right? One of them's like Baphomet, demon dude. One of them's lust, and the other's wrath, right? Kanaku did that to a lady. It's too much. You feel the same as Shannon? I gotta pretend that I'm not aware that a witch murdered them. I'm opposed to labeling Kanon as the culprit? Okay. Then it's Goda or Kumasawa? Who's more suspicious? What's it else? They swear it wasn't him. I mean, you could hide Kanon's body and then pretend to be innocent. That might be a strategy, right? You kill Kanon, you kill Jessica, and then you hide Kanon's body so people will blame Kanon as being the killer and go after him where you're free to operate. So I can totally see keeping an eye on these two, right? If you think that it wasn't Beatrice the witch. If not Kanon, then who could have locked the door? Good question. Shannon-chan. How about it, Shannon? George-kun? George? Come on, come on. Aunt Rosa closed in on Shannon, George, Aniki laughing unpleasantly. Of course, they couldn't say anything back. They wanted to believe in Kanon-kun, but if they did, they'd have to suspect the other servants. The simplest culprit was the mystery guest, Beatrice, but she was nothing more than a guest and didn't have a master key, so if Beatrice is the culprit, despite lacking a master key, then do we have to accept the argument she really is a witch who locked her with power magic? Yes, the power of lockpicks. Truly a magical invention. The dirty argument. So dirty. What are you worried about? Alright. It's my fault. Make it the work of the 19th person, the mystery guest, right? I mean, if you do, you don't have to watch this ugly battle of humans blaming each other. So then what? The culprit's the 19th person? Guest Beatrice? Yep, she could lock the door using magic without a key. In theory. Are you telling me to accept that? Come on, think of like literally one other explanation. I got one at least. Think of another explanation. Other than magic, how could this room have been locked? How could someone have gotten into the room? Damn it. We're not telling you to accept that. She might be though. In the last game, I learned all your weak points. Look, she actually used Jakuten instead of weak points. So what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? You said you wouldn't accept me, right? But this locked room isn't nearly as complicated as the previous one. You can use Kanon as the perfect sacrifice, yes. Kanon kills Jessica. You support Rosa's theory? Everything's settled here, it's really easy, right? Kanon's already dead. There's no need to show concern for the dead. And you won't have to suspect anyone in this room. It's simple, right? It's simple. Likeable. I think we can get behind it. I won't accept it. But Kanon, being the culprit is impossible, you say? That's confidence, for sure. I don't suspect anyone. I don't want to either, but... He's right. At times, when the saying, there's no smoke without fire, turns out to be true. Anyway, you can never be too cautious. What's the plan? What do you mean by that? Please don't misunderstand. Oh boy, here we go. We know who might be dying next then. I want to label Kanon-san as the culprit. Really understand. There's a chance he is the culprit. I think assuming demonic summons and teleportation is pretty hard if you're trying to solve a mystery, right? Teleportation and demonic summons are pretty hard to come by. Are pretty uncommon murder methods. Thinking that's way safer.
So
that's right. You can't be too cautious. The general consensus certainly didn't seem to find fault with Nanjo for what he said. True, no one actually thought Kanon was the culprit, but unless they suspected him, they'd have to suspect one of the servants here, and we didn't want to do that. Are we not doing that because we don't want to, or are we not doing that because we feel like it would be awkward to accuse someone of murder? I mean, if you think one of them does it, you should probably do that, even if it's like super awkward. Because you're like, okay, I don't think Kanon would do that because, you know, he is secretly in love with Jessica. Maybe from Shannon would make sense. Like, it would be a theory. She could say that and be like, well, he wouldn't do that because he loves her. And you're like, okay, what about conflicting motives? And it's like, oh, he's actually met the witch Beatrice and believes she's magical? Oh, okay, that's a problem. Like, that might be an issue with her saying that, because that might be where the question leads. Like, why is he there? Why does he like her? Blah, blah, blah. And if she goes with, like, the magical explanation, it looks really weird. Maybe that's why she doesn't want to do it, or maybe because it might make her brother look more sus. They're not actually brothers; they're like sort of raised in the same orphanage. We didn't want to suspect. Yeah, so we're doing the same thing we did last chapter. Sorry, last chapter in chapter 1. No one wanted to suspect anyone, so they kept waffling between a 19th person existing and doing all the killing, because there's 18 people on the island. And and one of their own being the killer, and they kept waffling. Every time they wanted to assume someone was the killer and thought they had the evidence, they just like sit there and be like, nah, he can't be the killer. You know, they basically did that thing. If you ever played like Among Us or Mafia, where basically instead of the council killing anyone, they kill fucking nobody because they get stalled out super hard, and no one actually gets bust, and thus the bad guys win due to inaction on the quote-unquote good guys' part. That was basically how we lost the last chapter, is no one wanted to do anything and they just sat there arguing about whether or not another person existed as people slowly dropped around them. So going through this shit again is kind of sad. We didn't want to be suspected. Hopefully there's a solution coming up soon. That's right. You can never be too much vigilant. Right? No one objects? Understand? Yep. There's a high likelihood the murders are connected to Father's legend of the gold. That means the crime must have been plotted by someone who wants to keep a vast amount of gold worth several tens of billions of yen to themselves. I mean, that's a good amount of money. 10 billion yen alone. You can just axe a couple zeros to get how much that is in dollars or euros. So that's a few hundred million. Easy. Would you want several $100 million? Probably. With that kind of money. That kind of money you could play around for the rest of your life in any country. With a motivation like that, they might even kill all of us. Because she didn't have a master key, the 19th person. Beatrice is usually going to say Beatrice is not guilty, and Mario's going to say she's a witch and could be guilty. Because she didn't have a master key, the 19th person, the guest Beatrice is removed from suspicion for the murder of Jessica Chan alone. Yep. We can't conclude she's unrelated to the crime, though. After all, it's a fuck ton of gold. Yep. We can't deny the possibility there's multiple culprits. Right now, one of us might have been bought by the culprit, like last time Mario was. As Aunt Rosa yelled, she looked around, her gun still raised. Don't believe anyone, suspect the person next to you, that's what she's saying. No one wanted to suspect. They didn't want to suspect anyone around here. The weakness in their hearts demanded an answer from those not present.
容疑者でないと信じることができるのは2つしかない。
There's two ways you can be sure someone isn't a
自
suspect.
分自身と、そして死体になったものだけ。
If it's you, or they're already no more than a corpse.
それはカノン君も同じ。
Same goes for Kanon.
死体が見つからない限り、彼はジェシカちゃん殺しの最有力容疑者なのよ。
Unless we catch sight of his corpse, he's the most likely suspect in Jessica Chan's murder.
だから用心して、もし生きてたとしても、何かの理由を取り繕っても、絶対に信用しちゃダメよ。
Even if he's still alive, even if he smooths things over with some explanation, you definitely mustn't trust
いいわ
him.
ね。
I got it. No one gave an answer of their own initiative. However, those who met Aunt Rosa's eyes had to nod their heads. Humans are beings who live by molding themselves to fit society. In other words, from the time they're born, trusting each other is genetically imprinted on them. Okay. It's unpleasant to go against that. They never want to suspect someone, but if they're forced to suspect someone, they find it safest to choose someone who isn't present at that moment. And for the purpose of safety and nothing more, they half-heartedly chose Kanon to be the sacrifice. It's ridiculous. I definitely don't want to believe that Kanon's the suspect. I'd heard it from George and Nikki just now, but not only were those two close in age, they also had that kind of adolescent relationship Aunt Rosa had mentioned. It might be a little late now, but they really did have that kind of air about them. After seeing her parents' tragic corpses, Jessica bearing deep wounds in her heart would have only trusted Kanon-kun. It was very easy to imagine, and that's why I don't like it. Okay. Kanon-kun was the only one she trusted, so she wouldn't have let anyone but Kanon-kun in. So Kanon's the only one who could have killed Jessica? I just can't accept that kind of argument. So magic.
わかった。
Or a lockpick.
カノン君がもし現れても油断しないで。
Even if Kanon appears, don't let your guard down.
カノン君の無実を証明できない限り、私たちはジェシカちゃん殺しの犯人をカノン君だと仮定します。
As long as we can't prove Kanon's innocence, we'll assume Kanon is the culprit who killed Jessica. Okay. That was Rosa's claim. But using the vague word assume, she managed to convince everyone in the end. Everyone nodded weakly, and with the excuse that they were just assuming for the time being, concluded that Kanon was the culprit who killed Jessica. Right? Hello, my friend. It's been a while. I wonder what the dead Jessica and Kanon would think if they could hear this exchange. It would be a bit awkward, wouldn't it? Considering that's not exactly what happened. Jessica was crying. Their ghosts are here? Are you serious? That's what you're giving us? They're dead. Their ghosts don't linger. Jessica was crying. She was crying into the chest of the person who put his life on the line to fight for her, Kanon. It was frustrating. So frustrating it felt like her chest would explode. She grieved and resented how far the dignity of the dead had been trampled. We didn't have any ghost talking. We didn't have any ghost talking in the first chapter. This is weird. Alright. How can those guys treat Kanon-kun like the culprit? You ready for Summertime Runner and Witch on Holy Night? For PS4, which is going to be next year. Wasn't Witch on Holy Night already playable? I swear someone was talking about the beta for Witch on Holy Night in English or some shit. For like the Switch. There's no corpse. How do they treat you like the culprit because there's no corpse? You've disappeared. You risk your life to fight me, right? Yeah. That witch erased the corpse for fun? For them to call you the culprit after that? It's horrible. The ghost voices are kind of weird. I'm kind of surprised they put these in here. It seems like a strange addition to a mystery to have the dead people talk. It's alright. I wasn't able to protect you in the end. But I was able to be of use to you in our final minutes. So does this mean that spirits that are murdered linger where they were slain? Interesting. Why doesn't everyone understand? Stop it, Aunt Rosa. Can you interact with your dead parents, Jessica? They're dead in the church. Right beside you. Or like the church building nearby. Ooh, new Data Live content? That's cool. That's cool. Not big into Data Live, but I know it's pretty popular, just like Idolmaster, right? Stopping at Rosa. Don't call Kanon-kun the culprit without messed up logic, but the logic isn't terrible. She's not saying I'm the culprit. She's saying I'm suspicious. No. She's saying to be careful and that Kanon is likely a culprit. Is saying it. These people are saying you're the culprits, they can stop thinking. Yes, but there's not a lot of other evidence to go on other than someone with lockpicks getting into the room and that somehow sneaking up on you and killing you, which is possible. It's just not that likely. They aren't thinking about who the culprit who killed me is anymore? Yep, here's what it is. That's what we did last game. They aren't thinking the possibility you aren't the culprit? After this, every time something happens, they'll use the excuse Kanon-kun did it since we don't know where he is. I can't stand it. It's okay. At least you know the truth. Only I know it, it's pointless. I know it after dying. Truth belongs to the living. If truth doesn't remain, the dead won't be rewarded. They won't know what Kanon lived versus life. Or dude, lots of people die without having their legacy honored or people knowing what they died for. It sucks, but it's reality. Hello, Beatrice. Guess we're having a big aside. Truly a splendid sight. You hardly ever find a sweeter honey than the laments of the dead. So the dead do in fact linger and speak in this universe? Okay. It's like a weird addition that I'm not sure we needed, but it's a thing. Okay. Lament, lament. No matter how much you lament, the voices of the dead never reach the living. Beatrice can only see them because she's dead then? You're saying you can become an untethered spirit if you're magically powerful. Can you go see your parents to see how they died? They're in an adjacent building. It may not be possible due to like some magical boundary or anchor to your corpse, or where what location you died more likely. Since Kanon would be anchored to his own corpse then, right? Damn it, damn it. Doesn't matter who. Hear my voice. Kanon-kun isn't the culprit. His corpse was just erased. So they actually obliterated the corpse? Is that what we're saying? The corpse was actually obliterated using magic and there's no trace of it? Is that actually what happened, Jessica? Because I didn't quite get that impression from the scene. I got the impression they were moving the body, not that they like disintegrated it. Or made it as if it didn't ever exist. It was just erased? Why don't you understand that? She would have used moved. No one would use erased, right? Like if I was speaking, I'd be like, fuck, he's just moved. They just moved the body. God damn it, not erased, right? Or like hid. Hid or moved would have been my verb. Erased doesn't make a lot of sense. Unless the body was actually obliterated. Or like, the traces of the body could be removed, but I wouldn't say the body was erased, right? So her phrasing tells me that from her perspective as a fucking specter who watched things after she died, the body was like obliterated or something. Like erased from existence. Can't stand it. It's too sad. You hate it. Wow. In this way, it's like Kanon-kun died for nothing. I mean, he did die for nothing. He failed to do anything he was trying to accomplish. The honor of the dead means nothing unless it's acknowledged by the living. Doesn't matter who. Notice it. Notice me, senpai. Notice it, please. Kanon's not the culprit? Don't go, everyone. Don't let it end like this. Try putting your hand through a light socket. If you put your hand through a light bulb, see if it starts flickering or something. Maybe you can interact with the dead that way. Wrong series, but you know, give it a shot. Give it a shot, right? Rosa announced this room would be sealed until the police came. The rest didn't want to suspect each other, so they happily accepted that. And for now, they accepted that Kanon was the culprit. Without even imagining how much disgrace that gave to the dead, they accepted it. Dude, like, whatever. Someone's been killed. It's more important. The living are more important than the dead. Come on, man. The lady, you've done enough. Thank you. Don't go. Don't go, everyone. Come back, please. Don't leave us behind like this. Don't keep treating Kanon-kun as the culprit. So let's find out, are they trapped in the room where they died, or can they leave? I'm curious. It won't reach. The laments of the dead never reach. But you're able to come back, Beatrice, and you were slain, so clearly some people who died can come back. Just not you. That face of yours makes me laugh, yeah? You think your voice would reach them? It won't reach. Will it, Jessica? That's quite the laugh, honestly. It's all useless. Battler, did you say something? It's useless. It's all useless. Game over, man. Game over! Just as everyone was gonna leave the room, Battler stood alone with his back to them, looking down at Jessica's corpse. He's gotta take a pose like an edgelord, I see. What do you mean it's useless? You have an objection? I agree, we gotta stay on our guards. But I'm not buying that about Kanon being the culprit. You're speaking up now? What do you got? If Kanon-kun wasn't the culprit, and it wasn't my doing, explain this closed room Jessica's room has become. Okay. You don't have a clue on the point? Seriously, why'd I go and say it's useless? I'd better take responsibility for my own words. I'm empty-handed with 0 weapons to argue with? We're not sitting around the sidelines anymore. Alright. What's your line, dude? Is there proof Kanon-kun isn't the culprit? The expression that rose to the two faces was definitely one of anticipation. They didn't want to believe Kanon was the culprit. They really believed in him, so they were expecting something because they wanted me to strengthen their belief in him more. Well, Battler-kun, which of the other servants do you suspect? Yoda? Kumasawa-san? Wait, Rosa. I know the person called Kumasawa-bachan well. You haven't seen her in 6 years, but okay. She sometimes slacks off well on the job, but she always makes things fun for people. Even if her eyes were dazzled by money, she's not the kind of person who'd kill for it. I just met Goda-san yesterday. I don't understand, I'm sorry. There's something I do understand.
私は
こんなに楽しそうに飯を作る人は
I've never seen someone cook as happily as he does.
同じなんだよ。
He's the
熊沢
same.
のばあちゃんと同じだ。
The same as Kumasawa.
大田さんは
Goda
人を
likes
喜ば
making
せる
people
のが
happy.
好きな人なんだ。そんな人だ。自分の飯をうまいと褒めてくれた人。
As if a person like that could kill those who praise his own food as delicious, even if money was piled up in front of him. Battler, I know you're from a rich family, who are literal multimillionaires and own their own private island and stuff. But there are people who would probably kill for stuff in spite of people saying their food was delicious. I'm just saying, those people exist. And you don't know what other motivations are driving this guy. Maybe he's in debt to the mob or something like that, you know? This is the 60s, Yakuza time. Who knows, maybe this guy's in debt to the Yakuza and is worried about being fucking murdered, so he needs the gold yesterday. You know, if this guy is scared for his life, would he kill someone? Maybe.
Nara, バトラ君は誰がジェシカちゃんを殺したというの?
Who do you think killed Jessica then, Battler?
マスターキーでしか施錠できないこの部屋に誰がジェシカちゃんを閉じ込めたというの?
Who do you think set Jessica up in a room that could only be locked with a master key?
待ちな。
Before I argue, there's something I want to make clear.
誰々が犯人でないなら誰々が犯人。
I don't want to talk about if so-and-so is not the culprit, then so-and-so must be the culprit. I want to talk about how it's impossible for Kanon to be guilty. Okay. You can prove Kanon is the culprit? Okay. How? How?
It's
simple. It's something I almost overlooked. Bad.
副将要求言えるもんなら言ってみろ。カノン君はマスターキーを持っていた。
If you can say it, try saying it. Kanon-kun had a master key on him.
カノン君がマスターキーを持っていない?
Kanon-kun doesn't have a master key?
どうしてそんなことがわかるの?
How could you know that?
さっき俺はゴーダさんに話を聞いた。
A short while ago, I heard from Goda-san about what
カノン
happened.
君と別れる直前。
Jessica went to raid the VIP room.
貴賓室に殴り込みに行ったって
Right before she and Kanon-kun went off on their own.
ゴーダさん、あんたはちゃんと覚えてた
You
よ。
did a good job remembering it.
カノン
You
君の
protected
名誉を
Kanon's
守った。
honor.
私がですか?
Did?
同じ話は僕も聞いてたよ。
I heard him say the
で
same
も
thing.
僕に
But
は
I
よ
don't
くわからなかっ
understand.
た。説明してくれるかい、バトラ君。
Explain it, Battler.
そうさ。ジェシカは貴賓室の鍵を開けるとき、
When Jessica unlocks the VIP room, she borrows the key from
カノン君に
Kanon-kun,
鍵を借りたが、
but never get it back.
だからカノン君はマスターキーを持っていないんだ。
So Kanon-kun doesn't have a master key on. Check Jessica's pockets. Why did no one check her pockets? That doesn't. If there's no key in her pockets, that doesn't necessarily stop him from killing her and stealing the keys, right? From her corpse? It's possible, right? Is that really so? That doesn't stop him from being the culprit. True, Goda has no recollection of the key being returned to Kanon. She might have returned it when he wasn't looking. This is a pretty weak argument, considering all you have to do is check the corpse, right? Just go check the corpse. No keys on it. And either the killer stole them, or she gave them back to Kanon and he had the keys. How does it prove it didn't happen? It might cast doubt on whether it happened, but I mean, the easiest way to check if she still has the keys is to look at her corpse. They are in the same room as a dead body that might have the keys on it. If you search the pocket of Kanon's corpse, you would be able to say for sure, but you can't. It's impossible to prove. Just check Jessica's corpse, dude. It's useless. Check Jessica's corpse. It's simple, isn't it? If Jessica still has it, check her corpse. No way. You're saying it's like Kanon didn't have the key? Please check her corpse. Yep. And to prove it, all you have to do is search Jessica. Hey, we're actually gonna do some evidence testing?
カノン君のマスターキーが入ってるはず。
Kanon-kun's master key should be in Jessica's pocket.
南條先生
Nanjo,
調べてくれ
please check for us. Indeed. Nanjo dashed up to Jessica and searched in her jacket pocket. Everyone was expectant. Please. See there?
ありましたぞ。
Here
こ
it
れで
is.
すかな。
Is this it?
はい。それがマスターキーです。
That is the master key.
間違い
Okay,
ありません。
without a doubt. At Genji's statement, there was a small oh of joyful voices.
それがカノン君のマスターキ
That's
ーだ。
Kanon-kun's master
もう
key.
一人
Okay.
やぜ。
No, Kanon's safe.
カノン君はマスターキーを持っていない。
Kanon-kun doesn't have a master key
だ
on
が
him. So
施
there's
錠
no
で
way
き
he
たわ
locked
け
the
が
door.
ないんだ。
Okay.
確かに
It does appear that way.
そのように
Good call, Rosa. Call Badler.
カノン君がジェシカちゃんに会った最後の人物なのに
Kanon was the last person we know of to meet
疑わ
Jessica.
しいことに変わりはないわ
In fact, he's suspicious hasn't changed. He's vaguely suspicious because he was supposed to be with her last. But if you found him now, you don't just shoot him, right?
予想ぜ。
Let's give that a rest. Badler's doing his usual thing where he doesn't want to accuse anyone and just waits around. Seems the usual. Seems as usual. Okay.
人間ってのは本来
Fundamentally, humans are
信じ
creatures
合う
that
生
trust
き
each
物
other.
のはず
Yep.
なのに世知がない世の中を生きるた
We
め
live in
に
a tough world. We
疑
learn
り
to be
深さを
deeply
覚えちま
suspicious.
う。だから何でも疑っちまう。
Suspect everything.
悲しい生
We're
き物
sad
だ。
creatures.
その差がを俺は否定し
Won't
ね
deny it's our nature. Okay, yeah, but you know what's worse than suspecting no one? Or suspecting everyone? Suspecting no one, because then nobody's guilty of this murder because we didn't see who did it. Okay,
え。だ
you're
が
done.
証拠なき断定だけは許さない。
The one thing I won't let you do is reach conclusions without proof.
疑わしきは黒じゃねえ。白だ。
If someone looks suspicious, it doesn't make them guilty, it makes them
もちろん
innocent.
世の中は狼だらけさ。
The world's filled with wolves.
人を不用心に全て信じろとは言わ
Shouldn't
ねえ。
carelessly believe everyone. Yeah, sure.
だが
Gonna
黒
conclude
だと
someone's
断
guilty,
定
you
す
better
るな
have
ら
evidence.
完全な証拠を用意しろ。
Perfect evidence.
それができない限り
Sorry, this
絶
isn't
対
a
に憶測で人を黒だなんて
What
言
you
うん
do,
じゃ
don't
ね
go
え。
around accusing based on speculation. Battler, if you don't have enough evidence to work on and you're in a life or death situation, all you have is speculation. You can't make a claim like that. It's like, well, you have to make a decision.
それは
疑わしきは黒は
I was
私
the
の
one who
発
brought
言
up
です
no smoke without fire.
軽率でした。謝ります。
It was careless. Apologies. Alright.
バトラ様
見事な
Wonderful
推理
reasoning,
だよ
reasoning
バトラー君
Battler.
東田さんもありがとう
Thanks,
あなたが
Kyoto.
覚えていてくれたからカノン君の疑いが晴らせました
Because of what you remembered, Kanon-kun's been cleared from suspicion. And now suspicion rests with Goda and Kumasawa again, assuming that they don't believe in magic or that the witch killed anyone. Not a very, great way to feel.
いや
Yeah, I wouldn't feel good if I was Goda either. It's like, oh great, now I'm suspicious again. Fuck. Missed that one, did you, Beto? Beto? It was the crisp sound of the witch applauding.
お見事お見事
Well
な
done,
か
well
な
done.
かやるでは
Not a
ない
bad
か
job. Yeah, it was a good job.
やべえな。
Crap. Alright.
まんまと餌ごまに引っかかっちまったか。
Did I fall for the bait just like you wanted?
そなたは見事カノンにだけはこの部屋の扉を施錠できなかったことを証明した
You magnificently proved that Kanon at least couldn't lock the door to
使
this
用
room.
人は全員マスターキーを持つはず
Servants should all have had master
それ
keys.
が根拠となりカノンが犯人扱いとなっていたのだから
But hey,
少なくともその疑いは
with
見
that as
事に
proof,
晴ら
Kanon
せ
was
た
treated as a
な
culprit, but you at least managed to clear away that suspicion. All the servants should have been sus. But you eliminated Kanon, the most suspicious.
となると
In that case,
ジェシカを殺した犯人はどう
how
やっ
did
て
the culprit
扉
kill
を施
Jessica
錠し
lock
た
the
のか。
door?
そういう問題になっちまうわけだな。
That's our current problem, assuming they went out the door.
まんまと思い通りの展開に引き込まれちまったぜ。
I got drawn into exactly the flow you wanted. That's fine, ask other questions. Are there any entrances and exits to the room other than the door the main door and the obvious windows, the obvious two pairs of windows. Ask her to confirm or deny that with red text, then ask her to confirm or deny the existence of hidden doors or other locations to escape the room from, then ask her, what am I asking to solve this? What would I ask next? Probably like, what would I do next? I'd probably ask if, Goda or Kumasawa's key ever left their possession. In between the last time, no, yeah, if it ever left their possession, no one else has used it since the church. Since the murders at the church. Since it was opened, use it, no wait, since it wasn't used then. It's never been used, right? Since the last time we saw them use it or some shit. I forget when the last time we saw, I swear we saw Goda's key get used at some point.
かかったな。
Got you, didn't I?
しかもそなたは他の使用人たちを誰も疑わないなどと大それたことを言ってしまった。
Furthermore, you said something outrageous about not doubting any of the other servants.
さて、どう言い作ろうのか見ものよ。
Can't wait to see how you smooth that over. Yeah, good luck, dude.
うるせえぜ。
Shut up. You got a tall order here. Let's start right
どう
away.
せがっつり否定されちまうんだろうが、先にこの部屋が密室であることの定義を確認させてもらうぜ。
Let's check the definition of this room as a closed room.
よかろう。
Okay.
まず、隠し扉の類は一切ない。
There are no types of hidden doors.
出入りはこの扉からだけだ。
This door is the only way in
扉
or
の
out.
施錠はジェシカの鍵が1本と使用人たちが1本ずつ持つマスターキーのみ。
The only way to lock this door is with Jessica's single key or the master keys, only one of which is held by each servant. Okay. The basic premises of this locked room have been established. Thank you. Thank you, Beato. Now, can you confirm that the other servants did not have the key lose their possession?
2階ではあるが、窓から出入りすることも可能だろう。
It is on the second floor, but it's probably possible to enter to leave or leave through the window.
しかし窓は内側から施錠されている。
The window, however, the window is locked from the inside. It's absolute truth.
いきなりチェス盤をひっくり返させてもらうぜ。
Spin it around
多
already.
分扉がどうこう、施錠がどうこうって論法から入るのは、お前の手のひらから出ない。
If I start arguing the door and the lock, I'll be stuck dancing on the palm of your hand.
好きにするがよい。
Do as you.
さてさて、何を復唱すればよいのやら。
Fairly solid.
副将要
Hear the truth. Repeat it.
カノン君はこの部屋で殺された。
Kanon Kun was killed in this room.
うん。
Very
カ
well.
ノンはこの部屋で殺された。
Kanon was killed in this room.
死体はわらわが魔法で消したがね。
But I erased his corpse with magic, right? He didn't say that in red text. But I think she's not avoiding saying magical things in red text. Because the goal of the game is supposed to be that they're not provable.
カノン君の死体はこの部屋にある。
Kanon's corpse is in this room, repeat it.
拒否する。
Refuse.
復唱はできぬ。
I can't repeat that.
なぜなら、死体はわらわが魔法で
Because
消
I
したからだ。
erased the corpse with magic.
そりゃ言わねえよな。
Secrecy wouldn't say that. They could find the corpse
そこ
elsewhere.
にどうせ秘密があるに決まってるんだ。
There's gotta be a secret hidden in there somewhere. Where's the mysterious point you gotta find? Is there a point to find here? I'm not sure I see one.
マスターキーもなく施錠したこと
Did
な
they
の
lock
か。
us out the key? No.
施錠された室内にいる二人をどうやって殺したかなのか。
Let's see. The only way to lock the door is with Jessica's single key or the master keys. They're very specific. You can only lock it with the right keys. Yeah, did they kill the two other inside the room while it was locked?
それとも二人を殺し
They
ど
killed
う
the
やって
two and then
脱
somehow
出したか
escaped?
なのか。悔しいが外堀から埋めてくしか
I
な
just
い
say
ぜ。
it, I gotta cover up the moat
復
first.
唱要求。最後の施錠はマスターキーによるものである。
The last time it was locked was due to a master key. Can she say she can't because she's gonna say it was magic?
これも拒否する。
I refuse, yeah. So her premise is that the door was locked via magic, so why would he ever say that?
その拒否ってやつがどうも曖昧だな。
This refusing thing is really
復唱
vague.
不能だから拒否なのか。本当は復唱できるのにわざと拒否してるのかがわからね
I
え。
don't know if you refuse because it's impossible to repeat, or whether you can repeat and you're refusing on purpose.
礼拝堂の鍵の時はそなたにすっかり逆手に取られてしまった。
Back when discussing the lock to the chapel, you completely turned
わ
the
らわ
tables
が
on.
有利なうちはわざわざリスクのある赤を使って発言する必要がない。
When I have an advantage, there's no need to go out of my way to use red when it might be risky.
ただ
Okay.
それだけのことよ。
That's all. Fair enough. Guess that makes
本
sense.
来、赤、
わらわが有利になるように使うのは当
Originally, the
然
point of
の
red
こ
was to
と。
counter my strange theories. Yes. Naturally, she uses it in a way that works to her advantage. Seems fair.
上げ足を取られるリスクが分かっている以上、無駄には使わない。
Now that I gotta worry about you twisting it around, I won't use it pointlessly.
さて、次はどういう手で来る？
So what moves next?
ゴーダや熊沢を疑う手がおそらく一番
Well,
使い
placing
やすい
suspicion
ぞ。
on Goda or Kumasawa would be easy, but they might have lost their keys.
くそ。誘導されているようでムカつくぜ。
Seems like you're leading me by the nose. It pissed me off. Yeah, it does
しばら
seem
く黙っ
pretty
てろ。
straightforward.
考
Quiet,
える。
I'm thinking.
もちろん、この扉は礼拝堂の時と同じ
Of
だ。
course. This door is the same as the chapel.
施錠時にはいかなる方法をもってしても出入りはできぬ。
When locked, it does not permit any form of entry.
さらに言うと、部屋の外から鍵を使わずに施錠するようなからくりも通用せぬぞ。
No trick could have the effect of locking the door from the outside without using a key. Okay, no lockpicking for that one.
し頼まれてねえ時にばかり赤を乱発しや
Thank
がっ
you for
て。
using red when I don't ask for it. We're trying to make you suffer, Battler. Time to step back to square one. For now, think. Lay out everything we know. First, two victims. Jessica and Kanon. Kanon's corpse isn't here, but Beatrice admitted in red he was killed. So even without a corpse, he's included as a victim. There's a few questionable points. Depending on which I focus on, my line of thought changes a lot. First, after they committed murder in the room, how did they lock it? If we assume the culprit's someone with the master key, it's extremely simple. You know, some doors... Here, I have a question. Can the door be locked while it's open? Like, there's some doors. Some doors have a lock that will let you go... Like, they can be open from one side, right? So you can, like the... What's the most straightforward version of that? Like, the push bar doors with locks. You can push the... Push bar doors. Like, you can push the door open using the push bar. And then from the other side, you can't pull it open without using a key. So something like that, or like one of those doors where like the handle can twist on the inside, but you need to lock or you need to like unlock it to open it from the other side. That's a possibility. We could examine the handle or the locking mechanism for that. In that case, the door could be locked with the master key. The door could be open. The key could be left in the room. The door could be closed. And, hold up. Did she say something like that? Hold up. She didn't say anything about the door being opened or closed, right? I don't think she said anything about whether or not the door could be opened or closed while it's locked. So I'm thinking that's my angle, is the door could be one of those doors. It's an interior door. It's someone's personal room door. And they're not, like, paranoid about security. Why not? She's someone who doesn't like locking the door in the first place. That might make sense. I'd have to suspect Goda or Kumasawa, or maybe even Shannon-chan and Genji-san, yeah. Here I noticed something. I was contradicting myself. I was strangling my own neck, yeah. I want to deny Beatrice no matter what. I want to erase the existence of that brutal, fickle, ridiculous witch, so I have to explain something with humans. Everything with humans, not magic, but it also means suspecting a human. I don't want to suspect anyone. Of course, if there's some clear proof, I'll have to believe the person in question is the culprit, but until then, I'm not suspecting people. Am I just naive? I'm just a kid who doesn't want to have my feelings betrayed when those feelings tell me this person at least could never commit murder? I want to deny a witch did it, but I also want to deny a human did it. I don't even know what I'm doing.
そもそもそなたとわらわのゲームはわらわの存在を否定できるかどうかだけが勝利の条件だった。
The only victory condition in our game was whether or not you could deny my existence.
それだけでもそなたに不利なゲームなのに、そなたは勝手に勝利条件を増やし、自ら勝利を困難なものとしてしまっている。
Even though that alone puts you at a disadvantage, you've increased the number of victory conditions all by yourself, making your own victory harder. It's as she said, but argue with someone with a master key did it, his closed room can be broken easily. However, the number of keys that can open this door is limited, and it's clearly known who has them. Using that as an argument means I'm suspecting someone I know well. In fact, have I been averting my eyes from the truth? Even while attacking the closed room trick in the chapel, which was exhilarating to destroy, I proposed someone stole the key from Maria's handbag and returned it. If that theory is right, the question becomes who could have stolen it from her handbag. Maria's handbag was probably the most unguarded while she slept. In that case, in addition to me, George, Anarchy, and Jessica are also suspects. George, Anarchy, or Jessica's the culprit? Maybe an accomplice? All our parents have been killed, right? And yet, one of us consented to that and assisted the crime? We all lamented, mourned, and shed tears together in the chapel, and one of us was lying?
そなたの例の手下げから抜き出し戻したという説はいとこたちを色濃く疑うものであったのだぞ。
Cast a pronounced suspicion on the cousins, did it not? Do we have someone who's a little handsy? And I don't mean in Battler's creepy, rapey way, I mean in the way they pickpocket people and steal their keys.
にもかかわらず、それに気づかないふりをして。
Despite that, you acted like you didn't notice. So are we going back to the theory that simultaneously Beatrice and nobody did it? Because that's fucking annoying. We've been there for an entire chapter already.
よくもあれだけの説をシャーシャーとのたまえたものよ。
You announced that theory, like a theory like that so happily? Someone else killed me? Yeah.
だからって親族や使用人の誰かが犯人だって保証はね。
It doesn't guarantee one of the family or servants is the culprit. Okay, who had on their bingo card? Ishiromiya Battler suggests there's a 20th person, another person. 19 was Beatrice, and now he's suggesting a 20th person on the island. Good lord, man.
お前が例えば段ボール箱にでも隠れながらコソコソと近づいてきて
If you snuck up on us while hiding in a cardboard box, for example, Solid Snake
熟
style,
睡してる俺たちの部屋に忍び込んで鍵を奪った可能性だって十分
There's a
あ
good
るじゃねえ
chance.
か。
You could have slunk into our room when we were fast asleep and stolen the key, right?
それについてはそれでもよかろう。
Perhaps that'll do for the
19 人
situation.
目の来客であるわらわを疑うことで彼らに疑いをかけずに済む。
And by doing so, you don't have to suspect the others, you just suspect the person who's the most, unknown. Alright.
ならばジェシカの部屋の施錠はどうする？
In that case, how is Jessica's room locked?
わらわは魔法で鍵を開けることは造作もないが、さすがにマスターキーは持たぬ。
It's no trouble at all for me to open the lock with magic, but of course, I don't have a master key. Oh, is she including her own magical abilities in the can't be locked without a master key?
わらわの魔法を否定するならば、わらわを疑うことも否定せねばならぬ。
Fowler's thinking hard? Yes, he is. Yes, he is. This is an interesting thought. I thought she was excluding magic for locking herself, but she's saying, I can't lock the door without magic. Or I can't lock the door with magic. It has to be the key. If you deny my magic, you also have to deny that I'm a suspect. Ooh, that's an interesting thought.
そしてそれはつまり、そなたら18人の中の誰かを疑うことよ。
親切にありがとう。少し整理できたぜ。
I sorted things out a bit. Alright, how do you defeat her this time?
俺にとっての目的は人間である19人目の来客。
My goal is to figure out how the 19th person,
どうやって犯行に及んだかに迫ることだ。
the human guest Beatrice, committed the crimes.
そうすれば誰も疑わずに済む。
If I do that, I don't have to suspect anyone. Okay, I'm gonna do that. Do it, my dude.
それができればな。
If you can do that.
愚かな男。
Foolish
こんな部
man.
屋。本来は密室でも何でもない。
It wasn't a closed room from the
何
beginning.
しろ開けることのできる鍵は 合計で6本もあるのだからね。
There are 6 keys that can open it.
そしてそれらの所有者は何人もいる。
And several people possess such keys.
誰でも疑える。
You can suspect any of them.
疑い放題よ。
Suspect as much as you like.
なのにお前はわざわざそれらを全て否定し、自分で密室を作ってしまった。
But you went through all the trouble of denying all of them, making it a closed room yourself.
わかるか？これは
Understand?
お前の思考的矛盾が生み出した密
It's a
室
closed
な
room
のよ。
born from your mental contradiction. She's probably just saying she teleported in, by the way. That's her explanation, at least.
他の誰でもない。
You and no one
そ
else
なた
sealed
自
the door.
身が扉を。
魔女が魔法で開けたことを認
You're
め
saying I
るか
got two options.
俺の知る誰かが犯人であることを認めるかの二択だって言いたいんだな。
Accept a witch opened it with magic, or accept someone I know is the culprit.
大手飛車取りのつもりかよ。
Are you trying to fork the rook? I guess if it's a rook. Who else is being forked? Are we forking 2 rooks? Are we forking a rook and a pawn? I guess, I don't actually play enough chess. If I just say fork a rook, are we forking with a pawn? Or are we just, are we forking with any number of objects? Like, I know that means you're making someone make a decision whether to lose the rook or some other object. That's how forking works. You're like, I'm in a position where I either take piece A or take piece B, and you kind of got to make an awkward choice to save one or none of them. But I don't play enough chess to know if just forking X means you're specifically gunning to kill it. Maybe it means you're just gunning to kill that one, and the other one's just like a low value reward if in the event you save the rook. Like, you know, you have like some pawn that you're okay with losing because he's kind of not doing too much, and it's like either the pawn or the rook dies, you're forking the rook, yeah? You're forking the rook because obviously you're hoping to kill the rook, and the pawn, well, I mean, it has its own value. It's certainly not as valuable as the rook, so that's the one you know is in danger.
こういう指し手もあると披露したかったまで。
Wanted to show you moves like this exist as well.
さて、
So what now,
どうする後ろ宮バトラー。
So in this case, she didn't actually give him a locked room, but he locked it because he refuses to believe that anyone could be the killer.
実に簡単な話じゃないか。あの自意識過剰な料理男と死に損ないのクソババアをちょいと生贄に仕立て上げるだけじゃない。
Don't you just have to make sacrifices of that overly self-confident cook and the hag who wouldn't be a loss if she died? Ooh, she just like that. What do you got for us, Battler? Come on. If I suspect Goda and Kumasawa, everything will be fine. That's useless. I can't think of Goda as the culprit. I can't think of Kumasawa as the culprit. You know, we were on this line last route, right? We were on this line where he refuses to acknowledge anyone being the culprit and assumes there has to be another killer, but also assumes there couldn't be a witch, and now he's like, the witch has to exist, but they don't use magic, they use normal means, and it had to have been them and no one else? Is that his route? He's not saying a 20th person, he's saying the witch. I think he's saying the witch, but they're human. Right. I won't accept you. No matter what, good luck.
ならば、魔法もマスターキーも使わずにこの部屋に入り。
In that case, they have to enter the room without using magic
ジ
or
ェシカ
master
と
key.
カノンを
Kill
殺し、
Jessica and Kanon.
しかもカノンの死体を魔法を使わずに
The
消
race
失させ
Kanon
ねば
corpse
なら
and
ない。
not use magic in brief moments.
どうやって行
How could it be
う
done? Throw the corpse out the window, move the corpse somewhere else, then lock the
わら
door.
わを否定しつつ、誰も疑わずにどうやって行う
How could it be
のか。
done so you can deny me while still not suspecting anyone else? It's tough, because you have to assume she carries a corpse again. Let's see how it goes. I resign.
バトラ君、今なん
Tyler,
て
what did you say?
降参だよ。
I
俺
give
は
up.
カノン君にこの扉が施錠できないことは証明できた。
I could prove Kanon couldn't have locked this door,
だからといって
but I haven't
ジェ
figured
シ
out
カ
who
を
killed
誰が殺したの
Jessica.
かを特定できたわけじゃない。
いえ、
More than enough.
十
Yeah.
分です。その
What
カノ
Kanon
ン君
couldn't
の
say.
ために
Thank you so much. Does everyone have their master key on them? Has anyone asked that question? No need to thank me. It means you're under suspicion too, Shannon-chan. Shannon-chan. Chan. Sorry, Aunt Rosa. Not like I wanted to resist you. I don't want to die, and I want to find Dad and the rest of the true enemy. Sorry for saying something that's not cooperative. Fine. I was rash. Let's make up. As aunt and nephew, we need to stay on good terms. Right? Aunt Rosa shifted the gun to one hand and held out her other. As I reached out, and for the time being, we shook hands. Aunt Rosa's gaze was sharp, and in order to deny the witch, she would sacrifice anyone. That's what her eyes told me. And me? Well, I denied the witch, but I wasn't prepared to lose anything. I was probably the one who seemed to be fighting the most, and yet the one who was most separated from reality. Yeah, he's a bit deluded here. Okay, keep trying, dude. You may yet succeed. Ooh, several hours passing. It's 1 a.m. or 1 in the afternoon. Might be 1 in the afternoon. Alright. Bit of time passed. Let's see. With Jessica's death, it became certain the culprit was hiding nearby, and they'd come for our lives if they had the chance. According to Genji, when tomorrow comes, the boat will soon arrive. And the boat had a radio. We'd probably contact the police directly with that. All of us gathered in the parlor and decided to wait quietly until tomorrow. I proposed we should search through the mansion for clues about the culprit, but Aunt Rosa rejected it, saying if we managed to corner the culprit, or maybe provoke them, it might lead to a third murder. That was probably the right thing to do. If a bunch of amateurs like us investigate, there's no way we find anything. Okay. So the plan is stick to the kitchens and the parlor, and never touch them. Always go in groups of like 3 or more, etc., etc. Okay. That seems plausible, right? It would be wisest to focus on protecting ourselves without doing anything unnecessary and leave it to the police starting tomorrow. We'd be tense at the beginning, but other than Aunt Rosa, most of us spent the morning watching TV and getting bored, so our sense of danger faded considerably. When we thought about it, yes, 6 adults were killed together in the first murder, but that made it seem like some backhanded method like poison had been used. The second murder, we figured those 2 became sacrifices because they'd been isolated from the rest of us. From this, it was possible to imagine the culprit wasn't a large number of adults, and they wouldn't be capable of killing this large group gathered in the parlor all at once. Called a machine gun. Right now in this parlor, there's George, Aniki, and me, Maria, Aunt Rosa, Genji-san, Goda-san, Shannon-san, Kumasawa-san, and then Dr. Nanjo for a total of 9 people. Furthermore, Aunt Rosa was even armed with a gun. Surely with this many people staying in this room, they wouldn't be able to touch us easily. The feeling of security along with the passage of time allowed us to recover from the shock of that morning bit by bit. By the way, lunchtime had just ended for us. However, it had been canned food, a far cry from the dinner last night Goda had skillfully made for us. Aunt Rosa also suspected poison might have been used in the first murder, so we probably couldn't deny the possibility the culprit had snuck into the kitchen during the confusion and mixed poison with the ingredients there. Aunt Rosa gave orders to all of us saying that until the police came, we mustn't put anything into our mouths except safe things like canned food. Well, at least beans and molasses come in a can. Alright, as a cook, Goda must have felt very let down. Apparently eager to display his skill anyway, he said he at least wanted to grab some plates and arrange the food on them. At first, Rosa had been reluctant, examining each one of the plates that were brought. She hadn't found anything to complain about. Goda's chef's pick canned food lunch combo was born. Goda said something about taste being savored not just with the tongue but with the eyes as well. It's the same canned food we ate for breakfast, but it feels like something completely different. It's the wolves and sheep puzzle. Okay. As I was sitting lazily on the sofa with no desire to watch TV, Maria came over, pulled a picture book out of her handbag, and held it out to me.
What? What's this book?
Wolves and sheep puzzle. Let's have a look. Wolves and sheep puzzle. It's a phrase that Aunt Rosa had said this morning when we'd gone to call on Jessica. At the time, I hadn't known what it meant, and right after that, was the uproar when Jessica's corpse was found, so I forgot about it completely. The book that Mari held out to me looked like a foreign picture book or something that had been translated. When I opened it, I realized it was a book stuffed with riddles. You have a few wolves and a few sheep. Puzzle is how you take them from the other side, from one side to the other using one boat. Heard of games with rules like that. It's a version with real wolves and sheep. This should be a straightforward puzzle, right? It was a very simple puzzle passed on from long ago. Pose a question. On the right bank, there are 2 wolves and 2 sheep. There's a boat, as many as 2 animals can ride on, and using it, you have to move all 4 of them to the opposite left bank. That's the puzzle. There are 2 rules. First, regarding the boat, even a single wolf or a single sheep can paddle it, but it can only hold 2 animals. The second regards the wolves. When they're greater in number than the sheep in any location, they attack the sheep, and it's game over. It says greater than. For example, at the start, 2 sheep get in the boat and go to the other side. 1 sheep gets off, the other goes back to the first bank. When it does, there are 2 wolves on the first bank, and a single sheep returns there. When that happens, the number of wolves is greater, so the sheep is attacked, and it's game over. They said greater than, so if it's greater than, it has to be not equal to. So if it's 2 and 2, don't you just do 1 and 1, then 1 and 1, and you're done? Yeah, on either bank or even the boat, there must never be... Alright, you have to bring it back, right? On either bank or the boat, there must never be more wolves than sheep. Oh, for 2 and 2, you bring 1 of each, leave the wolf, bring the sheep back. The sheep gets the second sheep, drops the second sheep off, grabs the second wolf, drops, and then they both get off the boat at the same time. That would be the solution for 2 and 2, right? You've got to shuttle them all across under these conditions. By the way, the right answer is to move both wolves to the opposite side bank at the first turn. Oh, for 2, you can do that. Both wolves jump on, go to opposite bank. I guess if you want to include sequencing, that works, yeah. 1 wolf comes back, second turn, move 2 sheep to the opposite bank. 1 wolf comes back. On the third turn, you put that last wolf on the right bank on the boat. Okay. Transport successful. Can you not put 1 and 1 on them? Why not? It said greater than. You put 1 wolf on the boat. Then you put 1 sheep on the boat. I mean, you can do this, but you can do this for large numbers, but for 2 and 2, it seems really easy. Partway, there might be the same number of wolves and sheep in the boat or on either side, but that isn't a problem. You only lose when the number of wolves is greater. Yeah. The book uses sheep and wolves, but lots of people know how to use this game using different characters. It looked like Mari wanted to test whether I too could solve the puzzles she knew how to solve. She kept showing me different pages saying, solve this one and this one's hard. Okay. What was happening when Rosa mentioned this puzzle, first puzzle? That's right. When we decided to get Jessica, we talked about how many men should go, but Aunt Rosa mentioned the wolves and sheep saying we should all go together. Wait a second. That only means one thing. Aunt Rosa said there was a wolf among us, and she was thinking we'd be safe if the number of wolves and sheep were in balance, but that the wolves would bear their fangs if the situation changed. At the time we found our parents' corpses, Aunt Rosa already suspected the servants might be wolves. She'd sniffed out the possibility that, well, she didn't know whether it was all of them or some of them, there were wolves hiding among them. Yep. That's not a surprise. The murder scene was elaborate. It's easy to imagine multiple culprits, and because she'd reached that conclusion when we went to Jessica's room and learned that Jessica was killed after being alone with the servant Kanon, it's not hard to imagine why Rosa suspected the servants. Yep, I'm with that. I understand that. Yep. Your servants. Go into the kitchen to clean the dishes. Yep. How would you solve the... Alright, whatever. Goda-san's going to clean the dishes. Just in case, please all go with him.
皆さん、 申し訳ありません。団体行動で参りましょう。
Let's go as a group.
シャノン、クマサワ。
Shannon, Kumasawa, we're going.
はいはい、ただいま。
それではジョージさん、
George?
一度失礼いたします。
うん、気をつけて。
Take care.
あ、ローザおばさん、
Rosa, could I go as
僕
well?
も一緒に行っていいかな。
ごめんなさい。ジョージ君
Remain
は
here,
残ってくれ
please,
る。ちょっとお話ししたいことがあるの。
There's something I want to talk to you about.
そうですか。
That's so.
シャノン、ごめん。
Sorry, Shannon.
とにかく気をつけて、一人にな
Take
らないで
care
ね
and。don't be alone.
はい。
南條先生、ちょっとご相談が。
I want to consult you about something.
はい。何で
What
すか
could it be? The servants put the dishes and empty cans on the serving cart and started to head out into the corridor. Behind them, Rosa was talking to Nanjo about something in a small voice. Understood.
参りましょう。
I'll go.
ええ。よろしくお願いし
I'm
ます
counting on you. Dr. Nanjo closed the book he'd been reading, rose from the sofa, and followed after the servants. Aunt Rosa stuck her head out into the hallway, and after seeing they were completely out of sight, she closed the door and spoke.
みんな聞いて。
Listen up, everyone.
これで今ここにいるのは、後ろ宮の人間だけ
And
ね。
with that, everyone here is in Ishiromiya.
確かにそうなりますね。
Blue?
狼を全部追い出したってことです
Saying you
か
chased out all the wolves?
ローザおばさん。
Aunt Rosa? With that one sentence, her gaze grew sharp. Apparently, she picked up on the sarcasm. She laughed lightly.
バトラ君は頭の回転が速いの
Your
ね。
mind works fast, Battler.
賢い子は好きよ。
I like clever
話
kids.
が早いわ。
Means there's less to explain.
バトラー、頭いい？
Yes, his head's good, Maria. She did. I'm pretty sure she actually said his head is Battler's head is good, not Battler's smart, which works because she's also like, how old is she again? 9? I don't remember how old she is.
これ解ける？
Can you solve this? Can you solve this?
64ページの難しい
Page 64.
の。
Sorry. Oh.
マリアは少しの間テレビを見ていなさい。
Maria, go watch TV
ママ
for
は
a
バ
bit.
トラ君たちとお話があるの。
Mama wants to talk with Battler and George.
おお。
ローザおばさん、
ローザ
パズルの話はバトラ君に聞いたよ。
I heard about the puzzle from
用心
Battler.
深いのは悪いことじゃないと思うけど、さすがに疑り深すぎるのも
It's
どう
wrong
か
to
と
be
思
on
うよ。
guard, but I think there's such a thing as being too suspicious.
真の犯人がベアトリーチェかどうかは別にして、
Whether the real culprit is Beatrice or not.
少なくとも
There's
使
reason
用
for us to
人たち
suspect
が
the
その
servants
一
are
味
in
であ
on
る
it.
ことを疑うことはできる。兄さんたちが殺されていた最初の殺人。
In the first murder, when Nissan and the others
と
were
ても
killed,
残酷な仕打ちがされていたわよね。
they were treated brutally, right? Okay, let's think. Who's left in this room? I'm just gonna go to the system and have a look. Who's left in this room? 1, 2, 3, 4. Mystery Man? Theoretically, there's 4 of them alone. They could all be killed here. And then there'd only have to be, what? 1 more pick? Because they need 1, 2, 3, 4? There's 5 survivors, right? Because last time it was Maria, Natsuhi, Battler, George, and Jessica. 5 survivors. There are 4 people in the room, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 survivors outside the room. Curious how that works. On the other hand, the group is split 4 and 4, considering this guy's alone. 1. Oh, there's 5 here, right? Like, it's all 5 of them? It's 4 of them here. It seems really suspicious. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. These guys could all die. He could be already dead, and the 5 of them would be fine, right? There's only 4 people more are intended to die in this.
あれが
Really risky to
一
be in
人
groups
で
of
で
4.
きる真似に見える。
They were treated brutally. Did that look like something that could have been done alone?
謎の来客。ベアトリーチェ様が夜鍋をして、チクチクやったのかもしれねえぜ。
Maybe the mystery guest, Beatrice, worked all night and did it all.
ジェシカちゃんの部屋の扉をめぐるマスターキーの件は
What about the master key and the door to Jessica's
使
room?
用人の誰かが関わっている証拠じゃない。
Doesn't that suggest one of the servants was involved? Pickpocketing. Only the master key could have locked the door to Jessica's room, so we can only suppose that one of the servants did it? No. Wait.
Spin
this shit around. It's strange, Rosa. After killing Jessica, why go through the trouble of locking the door? The fact it was locked makes it inevitable the owners of the master keys are suspected. There's no reason for them to go through the trouble of locking it. You're gonna say they're trying to frame one of them? This battler says. There's no need for them to go through all the trouble of making themselves look suspicious? Interesting thought. You also thought that? Okay.
だとしたら、施錠した人物は使用人を疑わせたくて、マスターキーなしであの扉を閉めた。
Wanted to cast suspicion on the servants and locked it without a master key.
でもそれは不可能。
But that's impossible. Yep. We've covered that with Beatrice and Beatrice, and now we've covered it with Rosa. Right? It's right. If there existed a trick that could lock the door without a master key, that would make this a disguise for casting doubt on the servants. If the culprit's goal was to isolate ourselves from the groups so they could attack us one by one, this trick would be effective at giving rise to paranoia. There is no way to lock the door without using a master key.
Master key を使わずに閉める方法がない。
How can you be certain?
なんて、ルドルフ兄さんの言っていた悪魔の証明になるんじゃない？
Isn't it a devil's proof like Rudolph Nissan was talking about earlier? Yep. You can't prove that there's no way to lock the door without a master key, but I mean, that was told to us by the magical Beatrice, whose words are the absolute truth for this game.
私たちには想像もつかない方法で閉められたのかもしれない。
Was locked by a method we can't think of.
私たちに思いつかないからといって、未知のトリックがあ
Even
る
if
こ
we
とを
can't
否
think of it, we
定
can't
する
deny
こ
the
とにも
possibility of
な
an
らない。
unknown trick. Yep.
そりゃそうだけどよ。
True.
つまりあれか
So,
疑わしきは黒ってわ
no
け
smoke
な
without fire again.
具体的なトリックはわからないけれど、それでも外角はわかるの。
I don't know the practice details of the trick, but I have a general
申し
idea.
訳ないけど、カノン君を犯人だと仮定すると、非
My
常に簡
apologies,
単
but
に
the
説明で
assumption
きる。
Kanon's the culprit makes it very easy to
死体が
explain,
ない理由までね。
even as to why there's no corpse.
だってカノン君はマスターキーを持ってなかったん
Kanon
ですよ。
didn't have a master key, right?
他の使用人ならともかくカノン君にだけは施錠は
Putting
できな
aside
か
the
った
other
はず。
servants, he shouldn't have been able to lock the door.
なるほど。
Doesn't have to be a deadbolt, it could just be like a simple lock.
それでローザおばさんはジェシカの部屋に入って早々に
That's why you
俺たち
told
に
us to
クロー
search
ゼ
the
ットなんかを
closet and
探せ
everywhere
と
else
言い
right
出した
after we
わけ
entered
か
the room.
ローザおばさんこそ普段の様子から想像できるより頭の回転が速いな。
Rosa, your mind works faster than I would have guessed, based on how you normally act.
妹の頭の回転速度は常に姉マイナス1よ。
The brain speed of a little sister is always the big sister is a -1. Can any little sisters confirm this?
今は誰にも気を使う必要がないからせいせいするわ。
Right now, there's no one need to worry about offending, which is certainly a relief. George Aniki realized she was referring to Aunt Eva and seemed a little uncertain about how he should take that sarcasm.
ごめん。僕にも分かるように説
Can
明
you
してほしい
explain so even
な。
I can understand?
カノン君のマスターキーはジェシカちゃんのポケットに入って
Yeah.
密
His
室
key
に
is
閉じ込め
locked.
られていた。
It's in Jessica's pocket, closed inside a closed
施
room.
錠した後に
The door's
部屋の
locked.
外からポケットに入れるなんて
It
ゲー
should
ト
have
は
been
不可
impossible
能
to
なは
put it
ず
in。her pocket from the outside, no matter what trick he used.
違うんだよ。兄
It's
ロ
not
ーザ
it,
おばさんの想像しているやり方ならこのトリックは
It was done the way
Kanon
Rosa's thinking of.
に
It
しか
could
使えない。
only be done by Kanon-kun.
そしてジェシカのポケットにマスターキーを入れたまま鍵なしで施錠することができる。
Plus, the door could be locked without using a key while the master key was still in Jessica's pocket,
そしてその結
and it
果
would
として
result in his corpse
死体
disappearing.
もなくなる。
どうやって鍵なしでどうやって施錠するんだい？
How do you lock the door without a key?
簡単よ。ジョージ君だって帰宅したら施錠するでしょ。
George, when you return home, you lock the
つ
door,
まみを
right?
ひねって。
You twist the knob,
ガチギ
click,
とね。
and you're done.
まさか。
Zippy.
いや、
No,
で
but
もカノン君の姿はどこにも。
Kanon was nowhere to be found.
兄貴にもピンときたみたいだ
It looked like you got it,
な。
Aniki.
ローザおばさんが室内を探したのはそういう
That's
こ
what
とだ。
Rosa was searching the room for. Yep.
内側から鍵を閉めジェシカのポケットに鍵を突っ込んだカノン君が
He was searching for Kanon-kun, who had locked the door from the inside and stuck the key in Jessica's pocket before hiding, waiting for us to walk right by him. It was the simplest kind of closed room trick, the classic hiding somewhere. It meant him hiding in the closed room after the murder was committed. Then all you had to do was get out of the... After those who discovered the body left, and the closed room murder would work perfectly. We searched and didn't find anything. We're repeating the argument with Beatrice. For all we know, the room might have had a hidden passage that only the servants know about. We don't know where it might have been. You know, I feel like I'm still getting like first chapter vibes from this. Like we're repeating a lot of arguments that are kind of annoying. Like we know there's no hidden passage. Even worse, we know there's no hidden passage from this room because we also got told it in red text in Beatrice's discussion. So it feels like this scene, while important for the characters, is not important for the reader. Because it seems like I'm wasting my time if we're talking about this part of the argument. Hopefully we skip by it really quickly, because I don't want to read this discussion that we had in Chapter 1, in Chapter 2. That's exactly the same as something we also already had in Chapter 2. Not once, but twice. With Beatrice. If we assume a passage, we can conclude that it was impossible for anyone but him. Well, about that line, it doesn't quite work. It means it's possible for anyone who had the knowledge of the passage. It doesn't mean it has to be canon. That's a bad assumption, by the way. If the need for the key no longer exists, then canon's no longer suspicious. And it could be anyone who was by themselves. Which does make Kanon still suspicious because he was by himself, but it explains where the body disappeared. I thought of that too at the beginning. Okay. It's the kind of reasoning you hate most. You want to destroy it right at the start.
Kanon was killed
in this room, right?
そなたはカノンが犯人であると疑いそうになったため、真っ先にその可能性を潰すために、これを復唱させたのだ。
You made me repeat this to destroy the possibility right off the bat.
わかっておる、わかっておる。
I understand, I understand.
だから、
so this is what I
その
thought
次に
next.
考えたのはこうだった。あの部屋にいたのは実は3人だったという説だ。
I mean, in theory, there were 3 people in the room.
ジェシカとカノン君は被害者。
Jessica and Kanon were victims.
犯人である来客ベアトリーチェも
The
一緒にい
culprit,
た。
the guest Beatrice, was there with them.
そなたは人間であるわらわが魔法を使わずに犯
You
行
wanted
を
to
行
make it
っ
the
た
human
こと
me
に
who
したい
committed the
のだ
crime
った
without
な。
magic.
なるほど。そなたにぴったりの陳説であるぞ。
A bizarre theory that suits you perfectly.
お前は2人を殺し、
I
内側から
guess you
施
two
錠した。
killed those. I guess you killed those two and locked the door from the inside.
そして、カノン君の死体を担いで、
Corpse away
普通
using
の人
a
は気づ
method
かない
that
秘
normal
密の
people
方
wouldn't
法。
notice.
つまり、隠し扉を使って部屋
Well,
か
there
ら
was a
脱出
secret
した
door,
ん
but
だ
that
と
was
読んだ。
shut down immediately. We're aware.
しかし、お前に赤で
You
言われ
told
ち
me
ま
in
った。
red.
あの部屋に隠し扉の類はないってな。
You said no kind of hidden door existed in that room.
うん。お前たちの知らない秘密の通路は存在せぬぞ。
There can exist no secret passages you are all not aware of.
ノックスだったかバンダインだったか。
Is it Knox or Van Dyne?
何でもミステリーには秘密の通路があってはい
It
け
seems
な
in
いらしい。
mystery novels there must never be hidden passages. Yeah, hidden passages people are not aware of don't make for good mystery novels.
そのお作法にわらわも従ったということよ。つまり名探偵は部屋を調べ尽くさずして隠し通路がないと断言で
Even
き
without
るわ
having
け
to
だ。
thoroughly search the room, a famous detective could conclude that no secret passages exist. Unless they're introduced early in the novel, yeah.
人間の推理ごっことはなんとお気楽なものよな。
Humans playing detective have it so easy.
くそ。でけえこと言
You
いや
talking
がる
so
ぜ。
big. You jealous, battler?
ありがとよ。
Thanks.
魔女様のお取り計らいのおかげで、俺も部屋を探し尽くさずに、あの部屋に隠し扉がないと断言できるぜ。
Thanks to the mighty witch being so diplomatic, I gotta conclude the room has no hidden doors without searching the whole damn thing. It's good, right? You can just make that conclusion right off the bat, man. It's easy. Indeed, there are no hidden doors in this room. There is no way to get in or out other than the doors and the windows.
今、ローザおばさんがぶってる自信満々の仮説は
The theory Aunt Rose is so confident
間違ってるってわけだ。
wrong.
しかも悔しいことに、この仮説は
And
反
annoyingly, it's
証不
impossible
能だ。
to disprove her theory.
魔女のお前は赤で。
If you, the
隠
witch,
し
say
扉はないと断言すれば、それで決着する。
there are no hidden doors in red, then it's settled.
しかし人間の俺は、ローザおばさんにそれを反論しても受け入れられないだろう。
No matter how much a human like me tries to argue against her, Aunt Rosa probably won't
隠
accept
し
it.
扉がないことを人間は証明できない。
Humans can't prove there's no hidden
悪
door.
魔の証明になっ
The
ちゃう。
devil's proof.
魔女ってのは便利だな。
Sure is convenient being a witch. What's that? She's a witch? She's the witch? She delivers absolute truth? That's interesting.
あるかないかもわからない隠し扉を理由にカノン君を犯人
Don't
呼ばわ
canon
り
a
するなんて
culprit because of a hidden door we don't know
僕
exists.
は納得できないな。
Unacceptable.
納得できないならより納
You
得で
can't
きる
accept
推
it,
理を
find a
聞か
different
せて。
theory that's more convincing?
ないのよ。
There's
私は
none.
ずっと考えてる。
I've been thinking it the
これ
whole
しかな
time.
いのよ。
There's no other options. Poor battler has to fight off against his own idiocy, but this time with no red text to solve his problems. Feels bad, man.
ジョー
Poor
ジ君は
battler
シャノンちゃんと
was
仲が良かった
previously
のね。
arguing the Rosa argument, and now he's got a battle against it. That's kind of funny, right? Because now he has word of God telling him that there's no hidden passages, but he's like, I can't word of God this shit. That's rough. George, you and Shannon are
だか
close,
ら
right?
使用人全員が犯人であることは受け入れがたいと思うの。
I imagine that's why you find it hard to accept the servants are culprits.
私もシャノンちゃんが犯人の一味であるなんて信じたくな
I
い。
don't want to believe Shannon Chan's in league with the
でも
culprits.
全員であるか否かはともかく確実にあの中に犯人
But whether
もし
they're
く
in
は
it
共
together,
犯がいるの。
there's definitely a culprit. Maybe an accomplice in that group.
それだけは見誤っちゃダメ。
That point alone is something you absolutely need to understand. Be on your
カ
guard.
ノン君以外にも狼が
If
い
you
ると
guessed
見てた
wolves
んだ。
besides Kanon-kun,
ジェシカの部屋で
does that
犯
mean the
人が
uproar
カ
you
ノン
caused
君
by
が大
killing
騒ぎした
Kanon-kun
使用人たちの反応を見るため。
was to gauge the reactions of the servants?
ええ、そうよ。
That's right.
そしてその結果私は一層の
As
疑
a
いを持
result,
つ
I
に至
began
った。
suspecting them even more.
確実に使用人の中に狼がいる。
There's a wolf among the servants.
確実にね。
Certainly.
そして狼と羊のパズルのように普段はおとなしくしている
And
けれ
just
ど
like in the wolves
チャ
and
ン
sheep
スがあっ
puzzle,
たら襲ってくる
while
の
they're
違いない。
docile most of the time, they'll attack if they get the chance.
ジェシカちゃんは一人で船に乗った羊よ。
Jessica was
あ
the
の
lone
パズル
sheep.
では頭数の時は襲ってこないけど私たちのパズル
In
は違
Maria's
う。
version of the puzzle, they may not attack when there's an equal number of wolves and sheep, but our puzzle is
チャンス
different.
と人数次第なら頭数でも襲ってくる。
Depending on situation and number of people, they'll attack even if
ジ
there
ェ
is
シカちゃんが
balance,
殺されたように。
like when Jessica was killed.
僕は怒りたいことがある。
There's something that makes me
じゃ
mad.
あ厨房へ行かされてるシャノンは危険な状態じゃないか。
That's true. Then when you made Shannon go into the kitchen, you put her in a dangerous situation, didn't you?
今すぐ僕たちも厨房へ行くべきだ。
You go to the kitchen right now.
誰
Too.
が狼だろうと狼でなかろうと
No matter who may or may not be a
僕
wolf.
たち全員が揃っていれば均衡するならそれを保ち続けるべきだと思う。
Staying together means we remain in balance. We should keep it that way.
シャノンちゃんはお父様のところへ源氏さんと一緒に行った。
Shannon went to see father with Genji.
その時に孤立したはずなのに殺されなかった。
At that time, she's supposedly isolated but not killed.
源氏さんも狼ではないか
Is
ら。
it because Genji wasn't a wolf?
違うわ。二人とも狼だったからよ。
Because they're both wolves.
シャノンは悪事の片棒を担ぐような人じゃない。
Shannon's not the one who would take part in
い
this
くらロー
crime.
ザおばさんでもそれは聞き流せません。
I can't let a comment like that slide, not even from you,
今の
Rosa.
発言に対し僕は取り消しを要求しま
I
す。
demand you take back what you just said.
兄貴の前で悪いが、その論法
I hate saying this in front of Aniki, but the way you're
エヴァお
arguing
ばさんの雰囲気にそっくりだな。
feels just like something Aunt Ava would say.
こっちが反論できなきゃ自動的に自分が正しい
You automatically assume you're right unless we can counter your argument.
やっぱり血は争えないな。
Looks like you can't fight against your own blood after all, Aunt Rosa.
私だって今の自分はあまり褒められたものじゃないとは思ってる。
Even I can't think of myself as praiseworthy now. That's pretty rough.
でもね、私は母なの。
I'm a mother,
マリアの無事を守るためなら鬼にもなるわ。
I'll become a demon to protect Maria's safety. Didn't we get that same line with Jessica and Natsuki?
本当ならマリアと二人きりでどこかに閉じこもっていたいくらいよ。
I wish I could shut myself away somewhere alone with her.
でも私は同時に
But I
あ
plan
な
to
たた
act
ち
as
の
a mother
母
to
で
you
もある
too.
つもり。今やあなたたちは私の
Right now
子
you're
供も
practically
同
my
然
children.
私は自分の子じゃないからといって
Even if you aren't
あ
my
な
own.
たたちを見捨てたりしない。絶対。
そりゃどうも。
私はあなたたちの母として油断しないでと警告したかっただけなの。
Want to warn you not to be careless as
常
your
に
mother.
私の目の届くところにいて
Stay where I can see you at all times.
私があなたたちを守ってあ
I'll
げる。
protect you.
ついでに俺たちが狼でないことも監視してくれるってわけだ。
And at the same time, you observe us to make sure we aren't wolves.
そりゃありがたいぜ。
Thanks.
そういうおばさんは自分が狼ではないって証明はできるのかよ。
Can you prove you aren't a wolf yourself?
ええ、できるわ。
Easy. I can.
即答っすね。
That's a quick answer. How do you do
どう
that?
やって？
これよ。
With
これ
this.
が証拠よ。
This is my proof. She lifted the gun and pointed the barrel at me. But it was only for an instant. He immediately lowered it, laughing impishly. But to me, the time I spent staring down the barrel of that gun felt like an eternity.
その銃がどうローザおばさんが犯人でないことを証明するというんですか？
Aunt Rosa? Yeah.
考えてもみて、私が犯人だったらどう？
I'm the
使用
culprit.
人たちが出ていったこの千載一遇の機会を逃すと思う。
If I was the culprit, would I give up the once-in-a-lifetime chance I got when the servants left?
あなたたちをズドンと撃って、あとは適当な言い訳をするだけよ。
I could shoot you and think of a fitting
窓
excuse
の外
later.
にベアトリーチェが現れて銃を撃ってきた。
Something like Beatrice appeared outside the window and started shooting at us.
私は2発を撃ち返したと称して、2発分の空薬莢を床に捨てればいい。
I simply need to leave two empty cartridges on the ground and say I fired back at her. Twice.
そりゃすげえ乱暴な理論だが確かに
I like her argument. She's like, yeah, I could kill both of you with this gun. How's that? And then since I haven't killed you, we're fine. It's crazy Valen would argue, but it makes sense. It does make sense, Battler.
クラウス兄さんが昔よく言ってたわ。
There's something Kraus used to say all the time long ago.
力こそ正義ってこ
Might
れ
is
がま
right.
さにそうな
Maybe
の
that
かしら。
really is true.
ごめんなさいね、二人とも。私も今朝からの事件続きでかなり冷静さを失ってる。
I've somewhat lost my composure after all
普
the
段の
crying.
私を知る二人から見れば、今の私は余
You
裕
know
が
how
なく
Norlia
て
must
少し
seem
短気そう
desperate
に
and
見える
short-tempered.
かもしれない。
Dude, I'm pretty sure Rosa's short-tempered has been short-tempered every single scene we've seen her in.
でも分かって。
Please understand. Rosa, you have a short
私
temper,
は
I
悪意ある
understand.
犯人から
You want to protect
あな
us.
たたちを守り、そのためには鬼に
You'll
も
become a demon
そ
to
れ
do
だけ
that.
のこ
That's
と
all
を
there
怒
is
らせ
to
る
it?
ような
Okay.
ことを言ってごめんなさいね。
Sorry for saying anything I negative.
But-
Sure, sure. Great
仲
battle.
直りしましょ
Let's make up. An unsatisfied expression rose to George's face. He probably couldn't forgive the damage done to Shannon's honor. What about me? What about me? Several bits of circumstantial evidence hint at the servant's participation. I don't want to believe that one of them is the culprit or possibly colluding with the culprit. But in our current situation, that's a little more than wishful thinking. Who should I believe? In the first place, who is the culprit? Are they accomplices? If so, how many? It seems I've only been suspecting the people we know. I quickly forget that 19th person. The guest, Beatrice, who arrived yesterday and boldly claimed to be the Golden Witch. In fact, I haven't seen her face. I heard she greatly resembled the witch in that portrait, but since I haven't seen her directly, no matter how hard I try, it doesn't really feel to me like a 19th person is on this island. I've been subconsciously hallucinating the culprit's one of the 18. Come out, Beatrice. If you're the bad guy, act like the bad guy and show yourself laughing in a high-pitched voice and mocking us. Just like a bad guy in one of the dramas who, even when they're exposed as a culprit, aggressively says, "Where's your proof?" Oh, there she is, cackling.
証拠は終わりかの？
Beautiful.
うっせえ。
Shut up, no more talking. I like how she did show up and say, where's the proof? Like, she's like, of course, I'll oblige you. I'll oblige you. I'm not mean. There were 5 humans in the kitchen, but it was very quiet, filled only with the sound of the rain. It was only accented by the sound of Shannon and Kumasawa washing the dishes. Goda was using leftovers for breakfast and lunch as ingredients for a soup. Rosa suspected poison might be added to the food, so they decided to eat canned goods, but it hadn't been too satisfying. But Goda thought she was being too cautious, so he was spontaneously creating a soup to be served only to those who wanted some. Shannon and Kumasawa were washing the dishes that the food had been arranged on. Here's your proof. On the inside, they thought maybe Goda could wash them since he'd been the one who wanted the food arranged on plates in the first place, but they left their complaints unsaid for the time being. Genji and Nanjo faced each other across a crude chess set that had many years of experience. Same picture. The game had only just begun. They say the game has only just begun, yet it is the exact same image they use for the approaching late game. Because the opening game of these experienced players had been honed to perfection, it looked like a ceremony where they just moved specified pieces in a specified order. It's a nice aroma. You don't get this from canned food. It was made only from sealed ingredients. There won't be any poison. I'm eating enough for everyone, please eat. And of course, I'll also taste for poison. Please feel secure and eat. Nice aroma. The food you cook is really delicious. Being able to create delicious food when you buy delicious ingredients is hardly special. Master taught me. A true cook needs to perfect their ability to make delicious food from whatever's on hand. Yes, you did arrive at the right time. That was such a good time to arrive. That was a good master. Thanks to him, we'll get to enjoy some truly delicious soup. What are you taking these risks? If you aren't a culprit, the food usually be poisoned. Good. Dude, even if they're eating canned food, the fact that he was able to arrange them on plates is silly. Like, he arranges the food on plates, and then the 4 servants serve it up. Like, if any of them is a poisoner, that's fucking everybody dead in like 2 seconds. And now you don't even have a clue who did it because there's like 4 servants handling all the food. The appropriate thing to do would be like, everyone gets their own fucking can opener, and you eat straight out of the can, maybe using good old Chef Mike, that's the best you can do. And you like clean your own plate and all this jazz. But like, they're not doing that. They're kind of like, oh yeah, we'll take some risks. Everyone were eating canned food, because I think the assumption is that an unknown party poisoned the food while they were away, rather than, like while they were upstairs. Well, everyone was upstairs. Some unknown person poisoned the food that was already open. So say, I don't know, they got some fucking potatoes in a bag or something, alright? They got a bag of potatoes. They assume that the potatoes got poisoned because they're opened and unsealed. Whereas the canned food is sealed, and thus you'd know if it was already, there was a hole in it, right? I think that's the way they're working, rather than an individual poisoning their meals. In front of them, they're thinking like someone was poisoned the food that was already open. It's a shame that it was made for ingredients intended for all the family members to eat. I'm sure Rose is tired after everything that happened. It's only natural. Thanks to that, though, we get to drink some soup made from good ingredients. Rosa fervently warned everyone they didn't understand the danger and they have to assume poison was mixed in with the food. The mood had led them to agree, but hunger wasn't something that could be swayed by momentary emotion. And ironically, we end up with a soup we normally wouldn't be able to savor. possible I'd like to serve it to everyone in the parlor, but...
ローザ様のご指示に背いている以上、よした方がいいだろう。
Seeing as that it would violate Rosa's instructions, you'd best give up on that idea. It's enough that only those who want to eat do so.
見えないところで上手に息抜きするのも
Skillfully taking a break when no one's looking is an important skill for a servant, isn't it? Kumasawa cackled, Shannon and Goda laughed as well. It seemed in this space, where only their fellow servants were gathered, they could relax a bit. Shannon didn't like Goda's occasional dishonesty, but she knew there was no falsehood in his childish smile when he cooked, nor in his desire for people to enjoy his food. Even though it was a little aggravating to be made to wash the dishes, she couldn't really hate him. However, they couldn't have dreamed Rosa was calling them wolves in the parlor at exactly the same moment they were spending their time peacefully like this. At that time, several of the servants heard the sound like something being dragged and then a thump. It seemed like the sound made by a servant outside the back door when they were carrying a mountain of trash bags on a rainy day, or maybe when a servant was returning from work wearing a raincoat. This is going to be Kanon's body. But at first, the sound didn't seem like anything out of the ordinary to any of them, but they soon realized right now everyone was either in the kitchen or in the parlor, so who could be at the back door? As the servants looked at each other, they checked to make sure each of them knew what the sound meant. The servants knew the mansion layout well. They understood how incomprehensible it would be for someone from the parlor to go outside in this typhoon. Go all the way around and come up to the back door. Was it Kinzo? They couldn't imagine Kinzo, who never left his study, would dash out in the middle of the typhoon and come to the back of the house where only low-class people ever entered or exited. It wasn't. Imagination, was it? Shannon and Kumasawa drew close together, fearfully looking at the back door. As Goda fearfully approached the back door, he called out. His eyes flashed towards the butcher's knife that sat in a nearby sink. He didn't pick it up yet, as it was still a possibility he was a member of the family. However, the possibility was impossible. There was no response from across the door to Goda's initial question. Maybe his voice was so quiet it hadn't reached through all the wind and rain outside. Genji? Yes. Stand back, Nanjo, and the woman. Who should it be? Genji took a knife with a classical design from a stationery box placed near the chest set. It was something to be used instead of a paper knife to open envelopes for statements of delivery and bills. But it was still a knife, so the blade on it could injure someone. Genji hit it in his sleeve with a well-practiced motion, and he approached the back door himself, giving Goda a silent nod. Goda cautiously approached the door and slowly started opening it. There's the scream. Goda screams. The shadow of a person suddenly shuffled into sight, landed on his knees, and fell over. Goda fell backwards onto his backside and couldn't get up. The human shadow was soaked with rain, smeared with mud, and drenched with blood. Kanon-kun?
Kanon?
Are you alright? Dr. Nanjo? It was Kanon. His breath was feeble, and the puddles of mud he left were quickly drenched bright red. His breath was feeble? I'm sorry, Kanon was red text killed in the room? The puddles of mud he left were quickly drenched bright red. When Nanjo held him and turned him face up, there was a deep, gruesome wound in the center of his chest, as though he'd been stabbed there by a spear or something. Even now, deep red blood poured out of there.
これはひどいですよ。どうしましょう。救急箱ですか。救急箱ですか。
Dude, get a first aid kit. A first aid kit.
カノンさん、傷口に手を当てて。
And put your hand against the wound.
しっかり押さえてください。
Push firmly.
使用人室のベッドに運びましょう。
Let's carry him to the bed in the
皆さん、手を貸してください。
Everyone lend a hand. All right.
さあ、カノンさん。しばらく我慢してください。
Hang in there a little longer.
しっかりして。もう大丈夫よ。だから傷口から手を離さないで。
とにかく使用人室へ運ぼう。
Let's carry him to the servant.
熊沢はローザ様にカノンが見つかったことの報告。
Kumasawa informed Rosa we found Kanon. Wait. Not Rosa. Not Rosa. Wait. Kanon said not Rosa. What do you mean not Rosa? What do you mean, Kanon-kun? It's no time for that. Let's carry him to the servant room. Kumasawa, don't tell Rosa. We'll do it after we hear the situation from Kanon. He told them not to tell Rosa right after appearing in this state. It could only mean something very disquieting. An eerie anxiety rose to their faces. Come on, everyone. Let's hurry and carry him. Quickly, quickly. Alright, Kanon. Kanon's wound was unbelievably deep, and judging from Nanjo's pale face, it was a miracle he was still conscious. Yeah, it's horrible. He's been stabbed by something like a spear. If it hasn't reached the lungs, I might be able to do something. We need to stop the bleeding. No matter how much Nanjo tried to wipe off that gushing, deep red blood, he couldn't do it. He couldn't wipe it all away, and each time the wound was aggravated, causing Kanon to cry in anguish.
Kanon-kun. Kanon-kun. Kanon-kun.
Nanjo-sensei, kae no towel desu.
Here's the new towel.
Nante mugoi.
Horrible. What's his condition? So severe, I can't believe he's alive. Maybe the location of the wound's fortunate. But the blood loss is too horrible. We need a transfusion, but that's impossible until tomorrow. Rosa-sama? To us? He's not being very clear, is he? Don't talk, Kanon. Here's a pen and paper. Look, there's dry erase markers and a whiteboard on the wall. Bring him that. Your wound will open. Rosa-sama came to milady. Oh, interesting. And me. What did you say?
Rosa-sama
did what? Could it mean? Are you certain? Yes. I'm certain it was Rosa-sama. Don't speak anymore. Kumasawa, another first aid kit. Well, this is an interesting twist. Genji. Is it possible Rosa did such a thing? I don't know. Disregarding Nanjo and Kumasawa, who were struggling hard and stained with blood as they tried to stop the bleeding, Genji and Goda faced each other. You're sure this is reliable testimony, given he's perfectly normal and not already dead? But my friend, there's no magic. He's not dead. He's perfectly alive. He's dying right now. Remember, there's no magic. I mean, we have a living, breathing Kanon in front of us, who Beatrice said was dead, but he's clearly alive. Is it possible that Beatrice is not all-knowing in a scenario she's currently running? I mean, we'd have to assume that Battler should be equally shocked at seeing Kanon-kun alive. I'm surprised there hasn't been dialogue. Maybe at the end of the scene? If what Kanon said was the truth, though, Rose is the culprit who killed Jessica. Honore Rosa! That's actually what he said. He said, Honore. How could you do that to Milady? I'll kill you. I'll kill you. Kanon screamed even more hatefully. His hate-filled voice made it seem like he was seeing Jessica being harmed right before his eyes. Certainly, Rosa may have had a reason to kill Milady. If everyone in the Ashiromiyas are slain, the inheritance goes to Rosa. If so, Battler and George are in danger. Not only is Rosa holding a gun, but right now they're the only ones in the lounge. Genji, this is quite dangerous. Shannon suddenly ran out into the corridor. Her expression was complex and tragic, as though she didn't know what to believe. Kanon ran. To where? The inside of the mansion had been scrupulously cleaned, so it wouldn't be easy to find. She might find if she searched the rose garden, but they'd probably been lost in the wind and rain. That's right, the boiler room isn't cleaned very often. If she went there, she might find it. She ran downstairs to find that in the underground boiler room. Did some medicine take effect at the brink of death, or was Kanon finally beyond feeling pain? For the time being, his painful gasping had subsided. Nanjo didn't view this as a good sign, and he didn't let his eyes off Kanon for a second. Kumasawa firmly gripped his hand and kept encouraging him so that the willpower keeping him alive didn't fade away. Genji and Goda seemed uncertain how to respond to the truth. Kanon risked his life to deliver. Rosa-sama's gun surely has 4 or 5 shots loaded. No small number. Loading cartridges into a Winchester should require a lot of practice. She might be able to get 1 shot off. If everyone attacks at once, we should be able to take the gun from her before she shoots again. We might have a doctor, but we have no access to medicine and no hospital. If the location of the shot is bad, that person's dead. More importantly, if we don't move, there's a chance another crime occurs. It seems Rosa-sama managed to cleverly chase us out. George and Battler are being killed right now. If our foe's so dangerous, wouldn't it be better if we didn't provoke them? Oh, we're still a long way off. We can't imagine what strategies she might use. We can steal the gun under a pretext, it might work out. There are 4 or 5 cartridges, right? There aren't enough to kill all of them. As long as we don't carelessly provoke her, surely Rosa wouldn't be that rash. Oh, she said it. She said she'll massacre all of us. Kanon, who they thought was sleeping quietly, suddenly started talking brightly, almost as though he'd been awake the whole time and had suddenly opened his mouth. He looked firm and steady, which relieved Nanjo a bit, but considering the depth of that wound, he couldn't wipe away a certain creepy feeling. He knew because he was a doctor. After losing so much blood, Kanon might easily have lost consciousness, and yet somehow he's still intensely aware of his surroundings. Was it youth? Or tenacity? Sometimes the power of human life surpassed the common knowledge. While stopping the bleeding, Nanjo had draped around a bit inside the hole with tweezers, making sure there were no foreign objects in the area. And the great depth of the wound had shocked him. It had certainly reached as far as his lungs, yet... Oh, the fact that he's still alive is wonderful. But Kanon spoke clearly, and hatefully stated the one named Rosa made this wound, cursing and raging over and over. His eyes are red. He wants to kill everyone by any means necessary before the typhoon passes, so she can have the master's wealth to herself. He told me that clearly. What a person. Genji, what do we do? Are there any weapons we can... I find it hard to believe. Think Rosa would say something like that? Dude, this man's like speaking normally, carrying on a whole conversation, talking with you when he's like dying from blood loss? What? Genji, isn't a question of whether you believe or not. I heard it. Why won't you believe me? Don't get up. You'll harm your wound. Kanon sat up on the bed speaking to Genji, who didn't seem to be willing to believe the story. He'll kill all of us. He must have killed everyone in the parlor by now. If we don't kill her first, we'll be slain first. Just like how I was slain, so will everyone else. Kill or be killed. Kill or be killed. Kill or be killed. Kanon, does that really not hurt? It's nothing. What do you mean it's nothing? It's not a big deal. It doesn't hurt me anymore. It's really nothing. As he said that, he began to untie the bandages that had been painstakingly wrapped, and the gruesome hole in his chest was immediately exposed.
Kanon-san! You mustn't do it. Get down. I said it's fine. Hey. See? It's nothing, right? He showed off his gaping wound, which was slowly spitting out foamy blood. Everyone averted their eyes reflexively. I told you it wasn't a serious wound at all. Stop, you can't play with them. See? Come on. Not deep at all. Look. He held up 2 fingers and showed them to everyone, then slowly started to stick them into the gruesome wound right in the center of his chest. Plunging, slimy, squishy, wet. The fingers went in deep all the way to their bases. Squish. Bloop, bloop. This is perfectly normal behavior, right? Kanon-san! Yamete!
Kanon, stop it, stop it! The fingers were sticking all the way into his chest, up to their bases, and slowly he pulled them out in exactly the same way. That's like what's that, like halfway or more through your torso? He slowly pulled them out in the same way. The fingers he pulled out were stained a sticky, solid, deep red color. There was even a thread hanging. The fingers were covered up to their bases in deep red. It's not a serious wound at all. See? At that moment, the door was slammed open and Shannon appeared. Even after she saw Kanon stained with fresh blood, her impregnable expression didn't falter. Where'd she go? One of her is dead. Where'd she go? That's right. Went to the boiler room. There's something I had to find. More importantly, there's something I need to ask you. Are you really Kanon-kun? What? It was only natural. Everyone believed he was Kanon. They couldn't understand the meaning of her question. When they looked, they noticed she was holding a handkerchief in her hand. It was filthy and looked like it was used to wipe up some trash or dust. And while holding it, she approached Kanon, drawing closer to his feet. What's that? It's a handkerchief with a spider's web wiped onto it. How'd she bring something like that? If you're Kanon, you'll be fine. Spiders are your natural enemy. I thought you might not like it. Are you kidding? Why would I hate spiders? Sorry, I'll try it. When Shannon brought the handkerchief close to Kanon's thigh, something happened in an instant. And it happened all at once. The human eye couldn't have followed it. Kanon jumped like a wild goat, fleeing from the thing Shannon was holding. From his arm, some kind of afterglow flashed purple and drew a curve through space. The arc, which drew 3 beautiful purple curves, traced across the throats of Nanjo and Kumasawa, who'd been tending to him, and in an instant, their throats opened like gaping mouths. Nanjo, wait, hold up. Yeah, just Kumasawa and Nanjo. The throats opened like gaping mouths, and the blood really started spewing out. The 3rd purple curve should have traced across Shannon's throat, but she wasn't there, because Genji, who'd been behind her, had wrapped his own arm around her neck and pulled her back. It happened in an instant. The incident took Goda to think fast in an attempt to understand the scene. The frozen moment in time shattered. Boom. Blood was gushing from Nanjo and Kumasawa's torn open necks. Kanon jumped and kicked off a picture frame that had been hanging from the wall behind him, springing forward like a cat, aiming for Shannon's throat again. But Kanon's target once again disappeared from in front of him because Genji pulled Kanon again, and the two of them had fallen to the ground in a defensive crouch. Nice reflexes, senile old furniture.
Goda!
Goda. Goda was no fool. Even if he couldn't fully understand what was going on, he at least realized if this cannon wasn't seized, his own life would be in peril. He sprung at Kanon with his huge body, pushing him against the wall with all his weight and strength. Go, fat ass. Another purple curve was drawn from the tips of the fingers on Kanon's right hand. And when he raised the hand like a sword, aiming for Goda's back, there was a loud thunk because Kanon's raised arm had been pinned to the wall. He couldn't tear his palm away from the wall. Sticking out from it was the knife Genji had thrown. Under normal circumstances, it would have been surprising to see someone as old as Genji handle a knife so skillfully. But in this abnormal space, no one paid it much mind.
Genji-sama,
Genji, take this. Genji took the handkerchief with the spiderweb stuck to it from Shannon, and as he approached Kanon, pinned to the wall by Goda's massive body and the knife. Stop, keep that away from me. Oh, stop. We're dealing with demons now, apparently. Demons that hate spiders, at least. Maybe he's furniture that hates cobwebs. When Genji pushed the handkerchief up against his face, there was a sound like setting meat on a red-hot iron plate. Of course, the smell was the same too, and as he was horribly burned, festering in filthy red and black, crying out in his death throes, his body burst open and scattered. It was almost as though a balloon filled with gold leaf had popped. The entire servant room was completely buried in a storm of gold leaf. A cloud of gold butterflies. Those butterflies began to softly fade as though into water, or rather into the empty air itself, and afterwards all that was left was the three survivors sitting on their butts stained with blood. However, not everyone was merely stained with blood. Some of them were lying on the ground, splurting out blood themselves.
Kumasawa! Nanjo-sensei!
Nanjo. They're dead. Slits so sharp they looked like they'd cut your finger if you tried touching them. Opened wide and large amounts of blood kept pouring out. What was that just now?
Goda,
have you been injured? What did we just see? What just happened? I know I pushed it against the wall with my own hand, but I can't understand what happened. Goda looked at his own hand. The bright red blood left from his scalpel with Kanon definitely remained, and yet Kanon was nowhere to be seen because he disappeared. He transformed into gold butterflies and scattered, and Goda kept screaming alone without a clue about what was going on. Kanon sobbed in front of Nanjo and Kumasawa's remains as Genji watched over her, silent as always. Well, that was a twist. Two of them got murdered by a spirit. That's interesting. Bet you weren't expecting that, right? We find him half dead. And it wasn't him. The witch did say he died. But but now Battler's gonna have to explain how they saw the specter of someone who literally exploded when they touched him with a fucking spider web.
Nanjo-sensei to Kumasawa-san ga?
Dr. Nanjo and Kumasawa were? Yep, they're gone. But I'm afraid we're gonna have to hold this conversation for another day.